Our boy Shen An is in a total bind, begging his friend for cash after getting expelled for fighting. He nurses his wounds alone, feeling like a trash-tier hero while grateful for Sun Ming's financial lifeline. Just as he's settling in, a mysterious friend request from someone named Jojo pops up on his screen. He thinks he's chatting with a famous streamer, but the person claims they are actually named Shen An. Feeling like he's being played by a common troll, he throws his phone onto the bed in frustration. The stranger reveals his deepest secret about being an illegitimate child and predicts a deadly earthquake is coming. Shrugging it off as a crazy prank, he heads to his favorite local shop for some spicy hot pot. Suddenly, the water on his table begins to ripple as a low tremor starts shaking the entire street. He freezes in terror, realizing the stranger's warning about the shop collapsing was actually a grim prophecy. With his heart racing, he checks the clock and realizes the 5-minute deadline has officially run out. The world literally falls apart around our boy as he watches the street crumble into total chaos. He stares at the terrified shop owner, finally accepting that every insane word the stranger said was true. He messages the mysterious user, who casually reminds him that they are actually the same person from the future. His future self explains the tremor was just a side effect of a powerful energy source called Yuan Yang. Following the cryptic instructions, he treks deep into the mountains to find a lake emitting a strange, fragrant gas. The voice in his head insists he must sit by the water and inhale the energy without being late. He starts feeling like a total lunatic for actually listening to a random chat partner in the dark woods. Since the lake is nowhere in sight, he decides to just take a breather and enjoy the quiet moonlight. Meanwhile, a fleet of police cruisers tears through the night with their sirens blaring toward the restricted zone. A sharp-eyed captain hops out and orders her tactical squad to lock down the mountain and keep civilians out. Shen An hides behind a rock, wondering if the police presence confirms the truth about the energy release. Our boy decides to move fast and check the area before the authorities can lock everything down. Using his flashlight, he navigates the north side of the mountain until he finally spots his destination. He breathes a sigh of relief for dodging the patrol, realizing this small pool is the source. As he touches the surface, a strange blue energy begins to swirl around his fingertips like liquid light. The sweet scent of the mist confirms this must be the legendary energy his future self mentioned. He settles in as the entire pond begins to glow, signaling the start of the massive energy expansion. Even while sitting there, he is still dumbfounded by the technical terms and cryptic warnings in the chat. His future self explains that this energy is for cultivation, revealing she is actually a soul trapped in the void. With his battery dying, he stares at the screen, realizing tonight is just the precursor to a global catastrophe. Shen An is sweating bullets while reading about cultivation, wondering how this fantasy stuff is actually possible. Suddenly, that tiny puddle explodes into a massive lake of glowing energy right before his eyes. Our boy is completely dumbfounded, watching a literal lake manifest out of thin air on the mountain. He decides to trust the process and starts absorbing the swirling blue energy just as instructed. The system goes wild, granting him high-tier talents like Devour and the legendary SS rank Future Link. When the tactical police swarm the area, he plays the victim and fakes drowning to hide his powers. One officer gets sucked into a whirlpool as the Devour talent begins hungrily consuming everything nearby. He ends up sprawled on the grass, racking up a massive 1,000 talent points from the energy drain. Exhausted from the sudden power surge, he drifts off while the world around him continues to spiral. He wakes up in a strange white void, staring at the exact same lake he just left behind. Shen An splashes the mystical water on his face, feeling the refreshing energy wash away his exhaustion. Suddenly, a notification pops up, making him wonder if he just stumbled upon a literal cheat code. As he plays in the lake, talent points start stacking up, confirming his status as the main character. Our boy can't help but laugh hysterically, finally tasting the power he's been craving for so long. He sits back and relaxes, thinking about how 20 years of being trashed here are finally over. Checking his status, he sees insane ranks like SS rank Future Link and a massive pool of talent points. He ponders the mystery of his hidden talent, wondering just how broken this Future Link really is. He realizes he needs to contact his future self again to make sense of this overwhelming situation. Just as he prepares to spend his points, a violent earthquake begins to tear the void apart. Panic sets in as he realizes that even with all this power, things are spiraling out of control. Shen An wakes up on the cold ground, his head spinning from the sudden collapse of the void. Before he can process the chaos, a sharp-eyed woman looms over him, demanding to know his business. Captain Lee isn't buying his confused act, reminding him that this entire mountain is a restricted zone. Our boy tries to play it cool, stammering out a trash-tier excuse about being a simple camper. It's clear she sees right through his pathetic lie, her intuition telling her this kid is hiding something. She offers him a chance to confess, but he doubles down, claiming he nearly drowned in a lake. The mention of a lake catches her off guard, since there shouldn't be any water in this area. He insists it was massive, hoping his frantic explanation will somehow make him sound more believable. When he points toward the water, he's dumbfounded to see nothing but dry grass where the lake sat. He desperately mentions a strange fragrance, realizing he looks like a total lunatic to the suspicious officer. Captain Lee has heard enough and orders the tactical police to drag our boy away for formal questioning. As the convoy snakes down the mountain, she begins the interrogation by demanding his name and background. Shen-an plays the part of a struggling 20-year-old dropout, hoping a sob story buys him some slack. He claims he had to quit school because he was simply too broke to afford the rising tuition. The captain isn't a fool and asks how a broke kid can afford expensive gear for mountain camping. He tries to laugh it off with a trash-tier excuse about just needing a little relaxation and fresh air. She shines a light on his equipment, noting that for a poor student, he is suspiciously well prepared. Shen-an realizes things are going south, but feels relieved that he at least left his ID behind. Her sharp intuition kicks in as she realizes this brat is definitely trying to play her for a fool. She pulls her weapon and demands the real truth, making our boy instantly regret his lies and start singing. Lee warns him that she isn't exactly the type to play by the book if he keeps lying. Our boy notices her badge is a total fake, realizing these people aren't real cops at all. With a barrel in his face, he demands to know who they actually are before saying another word. She finds his sudden courage hilarious, reminding him that the person with the gun makes the rules. Lee leans back with a smug look, clearly enjoying the absolute terror she's instilling in the poor kid. After the intense interrogation, the mysterious vehicle disappears into the quiet, dark streets of the city. Back at his place, Shen-an collapses onto the couch, cursing his trash-tier luck for meeting a psycho. He stares at the card she left behind, wondering what a high-level player like Bai Weiwei wants. Her cold, glowing eyes and the threat of immediate death still haunt his mind as he tries to process. Realizing he needs answers fast, he heads to a cyber cafe to dig up dirt on his new captors. Our boy clicks through the news, realizing the mountain wasn't the only place hitting the fan tonight. Seeing the tragic scale of the disasters, he can't help but feel a chill down his spine. He recalls his future self's warning that this fake earthquake is just the start of a global shift. Even though he absorbed some energy, he wonders if it's enough to survive the chaos coming very soon. Rubbing his eyes, he admits he still hasn't figured out how this power actually changes his body. Pushing the stress aside, he grabs his phone to secure a safe house for the next few days. Turns out his loyal friend Sun Ming has been blowing up his phone, worried about the recent tremors. Shen-an asks to crash at his place, but his friend is just shocked he isn't dead yet. He starts typing away, frustrated that losing his own home has made his life such a complicated mess. With a goal in mind, he finally searches for E0 to uncover the truth behind his mysterious captors. Shen-an realizes Bai Weiwei was definitely no ordinary cop, especially with that mysterious EO logo on her card. He recalls how she pressured him for his personal info while he was still stuck in those trash-tier handcuffs. Even after scouring the web, he finds absolutely nothing on the organization, leaving him completely dumbfounded. He slams the desk in frustration, wondering what kind of shadow group could be this well hidden from the world. Little does he know, Bai Weiwei is watching his every move, refusing to let her team cut his access. She orders her technician to keep monitoring him, confident that their secrets are far beyond his reach. She's absolutely convinced someone is backing him and is determined to unmask whoever is pulling his strings. Giving up on the search for now, Shen-an finally meets up with his loyal buddy Sun Ming. He's just happy to have a roof over his head, despite Sun Ming's whining about his brand new house. Shen-an laughs it off and hops in the car, promising not to wreck the place while he hides. Shen-an realizes his home isn't safe anymore now that the mysterious policewoman has his address. He decides his only option is to lay low at Sun Ming's place for a while. They arrive at a massive estate that looks far too high-end for a typical student's budget. Our boy is completely dumbfounded, realizing his loyal buddy is actually loaded beyond his wildest dreams. Sun Ming casually tosses him a drink and tells him to stop freeloading and find a job. Shen-an just laughs, feeling grateful that his rich friend is willing to take him in. Later that night, he lies in bed, eager to analyze the strange energy he recently absorbed. He pulls up his status window and decides to test out his B-rank Devour talent first. Suddenly, the skill activates with a violent surge, creating a massive vortex that spirals out of control. He watches in horror as the power starts swallowing the furniture, realizing he might have messed up big. Sun Ming walks in to drop off a blanket, but stops dead when he sees the empty room. He stares at our boy sitting on the floor, wondering where the hell all the furniture went. Panicking, he shakes Shen-an and demands to know how a massive bed just up and vanished. He is losing it because that luxury bed cost a fortune, and he is not letting it slide. Thinking fast, Shen-an asks his rich buddy how often he actually spends the night in this place. He plays it cool, suggesting that maybe Sun Ming simply forgot to furnish the room in the first place. The realization hits Sun Ming like a truck, making him question his own memory of the massive estate. He scratches his head, admitting he probably confused this mansion with one of his other many properties. Shen-an breathes a massive sigh of relief as his friend tells him to just tough it out. By the next morning, our boy wakes up early, thankful he did not get caught for his destruction. Shen-an wakes up groggy, wondering who would dare disturb his sleep this early in the morning. His eyes go wide as he realizes the message is actually from his future self. The future version of our boy asks if he successfully absorbed the energy and awakened any new powers. Shen-an confirms he feels different after taking the energy, but admits he is still clueless about his ability. When the reply takes too long, he starts worrying that his new power might just be trashed here. Turns out his future self is just as hyped, claiming that this awakening is a massive win for them. Before they celebrate, the future version tells him to chill and explain exactly what went down last night. He reveals that Captain Lee is a top-tier Awakener who will soon be catching bullets with her bare hands. Hearing how badass she is, Shen-an immediately asks if this powerful woman ends up becoming his wife. Floating in the void, his future self is left dumbfounded by how shameless he used to be. The future version of our boy explains that his very presence has already started shifting the timeline's trajectory. He warns that spiritual energy will soon resurge globally, and Shen-an must be ready to get stronger. Our boy just gives a thumbs up, feeling like he has the ultimate cheat code for the apocalypse. His future self grows solemn, telling him to work hard so he doesn't end up dead a second time. Back in the mansion, Shen-an realizes he only has 17 days left before the world goes to hell. He knows that if these prophecies are legit, he has to seize every single opportunity to stay ahead. He starts wondering what his immediate next move should be to maximize his growth before the shift. He recalls the intel about Bai Weiwei catching bullets during an upcoming attack at a nearby manor. The thought of another energy outburst happening in just 2 days keeps him on high alert. Instead of overthinking, he ties his laces and decides to head out and see the chaos for himself. Shen-an stretches out, figuring a legendary meal is the best way to prep for the literal apocalypse. He heads to a quiet diner, blending in with the regulars who have no clue what's coming. A ping on his phone catches his eye, showing that a top-tier streamer named JoJo is live. He checks the stream where the girl is singing, but the comment section is a total war zone. While she tries to stay professional, the viewers are losing their minds over a different broadcast. Everyone is screaming about some guy breathing actual fire, completely derailing the peaceful singing vibe. Our boy is stunned, questioning why someone would be bold enough to leak their powers this early. The streamer looks totally confused as her chat turns into a chaotic mess of rumors and spam. He clicks over and sees a red-haired dude spewing massive flames, proving the world is already changing. Shen-an realizes the shift is hitting faster than expected and wonders how many others have already awakened. The stream suddenly cuts out, leaving Shen-an dumbfounded as he wonders if the power just died. Outside, a building is already spewing thick black smoke as bystanders wonder how a fire started so fast. The flames gut the upper floors, turning a normal afternoon into a localized disaster zone in seconds. Sensing a familiar energy aura, our boy bolts through the crowd to investigate this suspicious coincidence. He reaches the site and sees red energy trails swirling around the blaze, confirming this isn't normal. Following the trail inside, he finds the source of the energy signature right behind a crumbling wall. He cautiously navigates the debris, knowing that an unstable Awakener could be lurking in the shadows. A heavy footstep echoes through the ruined hallway as he closes in on the source of the heat. Hidden in the darkness, a pair of glowing red eyes watches his every move with predatory intent. It's the fire-breathing guy from the stream, and he looks absolutely unhinged and ready to snap. The fire breather doesn't hesitate, launching a searing blast of flames directly at our boy. Shen-an barely evades the heat, his heart racing as he realizes this guy is playing for keeps. Turns out the attacker is already spent, collapsing, while clutching a nasty, bleeding wound on his side. He glares up with desperation, warning Shen-an that he won't be taken without a vicious fight. Our boy recognizes him from the stream, but wonders how he got trashed so quickly after awakening. He tries to de-escalate, explaining he's just curious about who exactly was hunting the guy down. The redhead grows suspicious, asking if Shen-an is connected to the massive earthquake from last night. Shen-an flips the script, demanding to know where this fire starter was when the world started shaking. The guy hesitates, his eyes darting as he prepares to spill the secrets behind his sudden power. Little do they know, a group of tactical police is already closing in to bag them both. Shen-an and the redhead suddenly freeze as they realize they aren't alone in the dark alleyway. Two heavily armed goons step out of the shadows, looking like they're ready for a full-blown war. Our boy is completely dumbfounded that these guys brought high-caliber heat to what was supposed to be a talk. The gunmen don't waste a second, leveling their rifles with the cold precision of professional killers. Lead starts flying immediately, forcing the duo to scramble as the alley erupts in a hail of bullets. Shannon barely manages to dive for cover while the concrete wall behind him gets absolutely shredded. He realizes these guys definitely aren't the police, looking more like a hit squad sent to bag Awakeners. While catching his breath, he wonders why anyone would go to such lengths just to hunt the fire breather. He tries to check on his new acquaintance, but the man has seemingly vanished into the chilling silence. Our boy starts regretting his life choices, realizing he's now a primary target for these fast-moving freaks. Shen An tries to play the victim, desperately begging the shooters to believe he is just a random nobody. The shooters aren't buying the act, and our boy barely dodges a bullet that would have ended him. He sprints for his life, realizing these guys are playing for keeps and do not care about collateral damage. The gunmen pause, debating if they are wasting ammo on a civilian or if this kid is their target. One of the agents corners him, demanding he surrender immediately before things get even messier for him. Now cuffed and cornered, Shen An curses his own curiosity for getting him into this trash-tier situation. Thinking they have neutralized the threat, the squad moves out to continue their hunt for the fire breather. Left alone for a split second, our boy breathes a sigh of relief and starts plotting his escape. He spots his phone slipping out, realizing it is his only lifeline in this high-stakes game. With some desperate acrobatics, he manages to snag the device, hoping his future knowledge can bail him out. Shen An checks his phone, relieved to see a new message from his future self finally popping up. The warning is clear as he is told to avoid every organization except the Special Handling Bureau. He chuckles nervously, realizing that advice would have been way more useful before he got bagged by agents. After explaining his predicament, his future self sends over a high-tier cultivation method to bail him out. Shen An begins the breathing technique, feeling the raw energy of the world surging into his lungs. With a sudden burst of strength, he shatters the trash-tier handcuffs like they were made of thin paper. The power flows through his veins, physically reconstructing his body into a vessel fit for a true Awakener. He stands ready, radiating a terrifying aura that proves he is no longer the helpless kid they caught. When asked how he feels, our boy confirms that he is absolutely overflowing with newfound power. The tactical agents return and are dumbfounded to see him just standing there, casually checking his phone. One of the tactical agents loses his cool, threatening to make Shen An face the consequences for meddling. Just as the trigger is pulled, our boy's eyes glow with a chilling and newfound intensity. He delivers a lightning-fast kick, disarming the agent before the man can even register what happened. When the backup starts spraying lead, he effortlessly vaults into the air to stay out of reach. The agents keep firing blindly, but their trash-tier tactics are no match for his enhanced reflexes. He realizes that dodging won't work indefinitely, and that he needs a more permanent solution to survive. With a roar, he activates his Devour talent, summoning a massive vortex that dominates the entire room. His Void talent begins consuming the incoming projectiles, turning their own firepower into useless scrap. Seeing the literal abyss opening before them, the terrified agents desperately try to run for their lives. Even with his future self's guidance, maintaining this much energy starts taking a heavy toll on him. The agents realize they're outclassed and scramble to escape before the shrinking vortex swallows them whole. Our boy is left gasping for air, the massive drain on his energy leaving him completely spent. His body finally gives out, and he collapses onto the cold floor as consciousness slips away. Over an hour passes before he finally wakes up, checking his phone to see how long he's been out. His future self explains that his mental energy is trashed here right now and he needs more energy. The ghost from the future warns him to stop being a coward and kill anyone who hunts him. He reflects on the advice, realizing that being soft in this new world is a one-way ticket to death. With a newfound fire in his eyes, he vows that no monster or man will stop his ascension. Little does he know, the fire-breathing punk from the livestream is watching him from the shadows. A mysterious organization decides to keep tabs on him, wondering if he's worth a formal invitation. Shen An feels a strange gaze lingering on him, but trusts his future self to keep him safe. He lets his guard down for a split second, completely missing the bat swinging toward his head. Suddenly, a group of mysterious thugs has our boy pinned to the concrete before he can even blink. He wakes up tied to a chair, facing a stern Captain Lee who demands to know his schedule. Thinking fast, he tries to play it off by claiming a nasty stomachache kept him occupied all day. He even finds the nerve to tease her, asking if she's just obsessed with his handsome face. A flustered Captain Lee tosses the ropes aside, warning him that next time she won't be so gentle. When he tries to pry into her secret organization, she quickly shuts him down to protect her cover. She orders him to report any contact with his mysterious benefactor before finally letting him go. Back at the mansion, he realizes the captain is a major headache, and he needs to stay alert. Our boy finds himself back in that strange void space, surrounded by weapons and the bed he swiped. He wonders what exactly happens to his physical body whenever his consciousness enters this mysterious mental dimension. He snaps back to reality in Sun Ming's bedroom, feeling the weight of his recent spiritual travels. Looking at the gear he found, he questions if he can actually pull items from the void into reality. He focuses his intent with sharp eyes, determined to see if his new powers work both ways. To his absolute delight, a glob of energy manifests in his hands, proving he is not just dreaming. He successfully brings out a water bottle, deciding to save the heavy-duty research for another day. Feeling like a total boss, he figures it is finally time to return the bed he borrowed. Just as he summons the bed back into existence, Sun Ming walks in and asks about the furniture. Our boy is completely dumbfounded, caught red-handed using his powers right in the middle of the room. Shen-an plays it cool, lying that he snagged the bed from a second-hand market to cover his tracks. Sun Ming spots the mysterious bottle on the table, mistaking the void-infused liquid for a new brand of soda. Our boy tries to stop him, but Sun Ming happily cracks it open, thinking it was a thoughtful gift. The drink starts refreshing, but Sun Ming's stomach immediately revolts as the strange energy hits his system. Sun Ming makes a desperate sprint for the bathroom, while Shen-an just waves him off with a smirk. Looking at the empty bottle, Shen-an wonders if ordinary humans can even handle the raw power of void water. With the house finally quiet, he settles down to practice, knowing he needs to master his growing energy. Golden aura flares around him as he executes the fierce tiger breathing technique, feeling his potential surge. Unbeknownst to him, a mysterious woman watches from afar, recognizing his ancient sect style and his hidden potential. She notes his impressive talent but realizes his breathing technique is dangerously incomplete, leaving him vulnerable. Sun Ming finally emerges looking like he's seen a ghost, making our boy worry he actually overdid it. The poor guy insists he just needs sleep, clearly traumatized by that trash-tier experience with the void water. Shen-an lets out a sigh of relief, glad he didn't accidentally kill off his only wealthy friend. Later, he tries the front gate of the Western Manor, but gets immediately shooed away by the guards. He notices the heavy surveillance and realizes the owners are definitely hiding something behind those security cameras. Luckily, his future self already sent the cheat codes, guiding him toward a hidden jungle path instead. Reaching the perimeter, he takes a deep breath and prepares to test his newfound strength against the barrier. With a loud kacha, he effortlessly tears through the metal fence, like it was made of wet paper. He slips inside past the danger signs, wondering if the rumors about man-eating beasts are actually true. His phone pings with a warning to watch the trees, leaving him confused about this new energy source. Shen-an freezes as a wolf emerges from the shadows of the broken fence. His first instinct is to bolt, but he knows predators love a good chase. He digs his heels into the dirt, forcing himself to stop before he makes a fatal mistake. Our boy realizes that running will only trigger the beast's hunting instinct to catch him even faster. He gulps, wondering why rich trash-tier elites would keep such dangerous pets for sport. Standing his ground, he stares down the beast, desperately trying to figure out his next move. Those glowing red eyes prove this isn't a normal animal. It's a mutated monster fueled by mana. The beast lunges with terrifying speed, forcing him to realize he can't just outrun this thing. He barely manages to sidestep the attack, watching as the creature's momentum carries it forward. The wolf slams into a tree, leaving a bloody mess that makes even our boy feel a bit queasy. Shen-an uses his devour skill to quickly erase the evidence, knowing he can't leave any traces behind. He checks the time and realizes he has exactly 5 minutes before the massive energy eruption begins. Our boy climbs a tree for a better view, only to be dumbfounded by Captain Lee's sudden arrival. She uses a megaphone to command the panicking crowd, threatening military discipline for anyone who dares disobey. Her tactical squad falls in line immediately, showing just how much authority she really carries in this zone. Hiding in the branches, Shen-an wonders how the government managed to track this specific location so fast. He remembers her face all too well, and knows getting caught by her would be a total disaster. Our boy decides to play it safe by donning a monkey mask to hide his identity from her. He checks his messages to confirm that these tremors are indeed the precursor to the upcoming energy eruption. As the ground splits, he braces himself, realizing the Yuanyang eruption is finally starting to blow. The ground shatters as the iron tree erupts, signaling the start of the massive energy surge. Captain Lee is completely dumbfounded by the scale of the eruption, realizing this is way beyond her control. While everyone else panics, our boy walks right into the chaos, drawn to the concentrated power. Still wearing his monkey mask, he touches the bark and notes it really is as hard as iron. He wastes no time activating his devour and void skills, watching his talent points skyrocket instantly. The sheer profit makes him lose his cool, hugging the tree while dreaming of how rich he'll become. After 10 minutes of constant devouring, he starts to wonder just how much energy this thing actually holds. Resting in his void space, he notices the tree seems even bigger than during his previous life's encounter. He realizes devouring this concentrated energy might be the key to finally upgrading his skills. Looking at his massive point stash, he decides it's time to push his abilities to the next level. Shen-An decides to finally cash in his points, commanding the system to upgrade his devour talent immediately. He is absolutely stoked when the notification confirms his main skill just hit a rank, boosting his growth potential. Nearby, a tactical officer spots something strange and quickly alerts Captain Lee to the anomaly in the distance. Still masked, our boy sits at the center of a mana vortex, absorbing energy like a total glutton. Sensing the danger, the captain tells her squad to keep back, while she investigates the site personally. She struggles through the pressure, hissing in pain as the raw energy starts tearing at her skin and clothes. One of her men notices the blood on her arm and asks if she needs bandages right away. She agrees but orders them to focus on clearing out any civilians who might cause trouble in the area. However, when she goes to clean the wound, she realizes the injury has already completely vanished from her skin. She stands there dumbfounded, realizing her own body is starting to awaken and heal at an impossible rate. A stray bullet whizzes past a guard as the situation turns south, signaling the end of any quiet infiltration. Our boy Shen-An just finds the constant bang-bang annoying, wishing these trash-tier mobs would let him focus. Captain Liss senses sharpen to a needlepoint as she feels the air ripple from an incoming shot. The world slows to a crawl for her, her awakened mind processing the trajectory of the lethal projectile. She stands frozen in a moment of pure clarity, realizing her perception has evolved far beyond any normal human. In a blur of motion, she snatches the bullet right out of the air, her skin remaining completely unscathed. Her squad is left speechless while she stares at her hand, wondering how she just performed a literal miracle. The smoking piece of lead in her palm is proof enough that she's finally stepped into the awakened realm. Even Shen-An is left dumbfounded by the display, realizing the captain is no longer just a regular officer. Investigating the bodies, she notes the scene looks like a mass suicide, but the lack of evidence is suspicious. Captain Lee suspects the fallen assassins were professionals sent by a high-level organization to handle the situation. Our boy gets caught by the tactical squad, looking like a total amateur in his ridiculous monkey mask. The captain questions how he slipped inside while he just complains about his legs going completely numb. She orders his release, ignoring her subordinates' warnings about the kid's unverified identity and suspicious behavior. Once free, Shannon accidentally falls right into the captain, leaving her totally flustered and blushing. The officer is absolutely livid at the disrespect, while the captain tells the brat to get away immediately. Losing his cool, the guard lunges at Shen-An, intending to put the arrogant kid in his place. Suddenly, Shen-An counters with a powerful kick that sends the seasoned officer crashing into the hard ground. He stands tall, lecturing the man about his impulsiveness and how he could have accidentally hurt the captain. The entire squad is left dumbfounded, realizing this masked kid just effortlessly fodderized a professional tactical officer. Captain Lee decides to handle the masked brat herself, launching a high kick to end the fight quickly. Our boy just catches her leg like it's nothing, casually complimenting her strength while he holds her back. He points out that her speed and temper are trash tier, making the captain even more livid than before. She tries to grapple him, but Shen-An moves like a ghost, keeping her off balance with ease. When she tries to restrain him, he just laughs and asks if she really thinks she can lock him up. With a sudden burst of movement, he flips the captain through the air as her squad watches in horror. A massive shockwave erupts as he uses the impact to mask his next move from the surrounding guards. Taking advantage of the chaos, Shen-An bolts toward the exit, leaving the elite team in his dust. The captain slams the ground in frustration, swearing that she will hunt down the brat no matter what. Suddenly, she realizes her mana is surging and wonders if that masked kid was actually helping her awaken. Shen-An reflects on his progress, hoping these new powers will actually keep him alive in the future. Our boy barely has time to think before a massive white snake lunges from the brush. He realizes his reflexes are way sharper now thanks to that energy he absorbed earlier. The mutated pig doesn't stand a chance, so he decides to toss the dizzy beast into containment. With his mana stabilized, he masters a new energy orb while looking out over the mountains. After a long day of hunting, he hits up a local spot to grab some much-needed food. Inside, the popular streamer JoJo is busy begging her fans for votes in an upcoming event. Shen-An recognizes the pink-haired girl immediately and realizes he just walked into a golden opportunity. He approaches her table with a grin, asking if she really is the famous streamer everyone loves. To prove he isn't some random creep, he shows her that he's actually been a loyal follower. Our boy plays it cool, showing off his fan status while the chat begs him to marry her. Jojo is clearly flustered, thinking he is a total hunk, but wanting to take things slow first. Suddenly, the cozy vibe is shattered as a random guy starts acting like a complete lunatic behind them. Turns out, the patrons are turning into literal monsters with glowing eyes, devouring raw meat like feral beasts. Shen-an is completely dumbfounded, wondering what kind of trash-tier luck brought this madness to his dinner. The infection spreads fast, with people begging for help even as they stuff their faces with cursed flesh. Total anarchy erupts as the mutated diners start tearing the place apart, leaving the staff paralyzed with fear. When a monstrous hand reaches for the streamer, she realizes her life is on the line. Our boy does not hesitate, pulling her into his arms and promising to keep her safe from carnage. After the dust settles, he demands the staff explain where this tainted meat actually came from. The staff admits a cheapskate deal for meat from a guy with straight eyebrows caused the mess. Shen immediately suspects Su Yuan, the pyro he ran into back at the ruined building. He remembers the fire breather's intense gaze and realizes this guy is spreading more than just heat. Our boy decides to confiscate the remaining tainted stash while the manager begs for a good review. He heads out with the loot, knowing he needs to uncover the source of this biological disaster. Meanwhile, the streamer is just bummed she missed her chance to snag the mysterious hero's contact info. Walking home, he updates his future self about the meat turning regular trash-tier humans into mindless zombies. Turns out, beast meat amplifies negative emotions until the brain snaps, making it lethal for normal people. Since his body is already modified, he can actually devour this stuff to boost his own energy levels. His future self warns that Su Yuan's crew is packing heavy heat and hunting for the same power. Our boy gets a sudden buzz on his phone, seeing a call coming in from his wealthy benefactor. Sun Ming sounds weirdly formal, claiming he won't be back for dinner and telling Shen-an to stay safe. Little does he know, his buddy is staring at a mirror, admiring the white scales now covering his skin. Feeling like a main character, the blue-haired kid spots a woman being robbed by some trash-tier motorcycle thugs. He launches a massive flying kick, realizing his new mutated body packs way more punch than he ever imagined. He starts flexing, convinced he's no longer ordinary, until a sudden knock at the door interrupts his ego trip. A group of intimidating men led by Hong Ju from the Special Operations Bureau suddenly invades his space. The old man tells him he's coming with them, leaving the self-proclaimed hero completely dumbfounded and shaking. Back at the mansion, Shen-an is stuck eating solo, crying over the fact he had to pay for dinner. His future self sends a text about a popular streamer adding him, while he eyes a photo of Wan Yuan Mountain. Shen-an plays with his void energy, figuring it smarter to stay low-key and avoid any unwanted attention. Out of nowhere, an old college contact reaches out because he heard our boy is currently hunting for work. The guy offers a security gig for a food event, remembering that Shen-an was always a top-tier fighter. He jumps at the chance for some quick cash, confirming he'll be at the pavilion early the next morning. It clicks that the location is the same one the pink-haired streamer talked about during her latest viral broadcast. Our boy starts losing his mind with excitement, realizing he's finally going to see his favorite idol in person. Over at her place, Jojo is tossing and turning, totally smitten by the mysterious guy who saved her. She wonders if he's actually a fan, hoping that might give her a real shot at getting to know him. Morning hits, and a massive crowd of civilians swarms the Yueming pavilion, all hyped for the big food competition. Shen-an arrives and immediately runs into the streamer, who looks genuinely happy to see his familiar face again. Sun Ming explains the job involves protecting a major star, making our boy realize his idol is the target. He assures his friend that with his current skills, a simple security interview is basically child's play. However, the head guard isn't impressed, dismissively calling Shen-an a scrawny monkey who clearly lacks proper training. Sun Ming tries to vouch for his buddy's fighting prowess, but the guard refuses to budge without official approval. The stubborn guard insists that rules are rules, and no recommendation will get him past the lead interviewer. As Sun Ming starts losing his cool over the gatekeeping, Shen-an calmly tells him to just let it go. Nearby, Jojo worries if the cute guy can actually handle a black belt, like the legendary Han Feng. Some trash-tier background characters start mocking Shen-an, assuming he's just a superficial pretty boy with no real talent. Fed up with the disrespect, the streamer snaps back and tells them exactly why they shouldn't underestimate her hero. Shen-an gives her a smooth thanks for the backup, leaving the poor girl completely red-faced and smitten. Han Feng challenges our boy to a duel, telling him to quit wasting everyone's time and just attack. The red-haired expert remains composed, confident that his years of training will easily handle this scrawny newcomer. Suddenly, Han Feng unleashes a lightning-fast kick, aiming to end this farce before it even truly begins. Shen-an barely flinches, his instincts screaming that he needs to stay low to avoid the lethal strike. With a burst of speed, Our boy counters with a heavy blow that sends the legendary expert flying. The impact is brutal, leaving the seasoned fighter gasping for air as he realizes he's completely outclassed. Shen-an offers a hand to the fallen expert, asking if his performance was finally enough to get approved. Han Feng admits defeat and decides to hand over the high-priority protection detail of Chu Yushi to him. Jojo and her assistant cheer wildly, while the trash-tier crowd can only watch in absolute disbelief. The blonde assistant wastes no time, teasingly telling Shen-an that the famous streamer wants his contact info. The trash-tier crowd loses their minds with jealousy, crying over how lucky our boy is to get the streamer's contact. Meanwhile, a shady guard named Lao Lao hides away, reporting the unexpected defeat of Han Feng to his mysterious boss. He nervously explains that an organizer brought the kid in, clearly worried about how this ruins their secret plans. The boss reminds him where his loyalties lie, forcing the terrified guard to swear he will follow the organization's orders. Suddenly, the roar of an engine cuts through the air as a sleek red sports car screams onto the scene. Shen-an and Jojo look on as the crowd erupts, signaling the arrival of the high-profile Chu Yushi. Our boy keeps it professional, telling a disappointed Jojo that it is finally time for him to start work. The car door opens and the stunning Chu Yushi steps out, radiating an aura that demands everyone's immediate attention. Shen-an steps forward to greet his new client, calmly explaining that he is now responsible for her personal safety. Jojo is left dumbfounded, as even her own fans ditch her to swarm the famous newcomer. Jojo gets caught in the surge of the crowd and nearly takes a nasty spill. Before she can hit the pavement, a strong hand reaches out and grabs her just in time. Our boy pulls her into a heroic save, telling her to watch her step with a smirk. Chu Yushi watches the little drama unfold and scoffs at his blatant display of chivalry. Inside the limo, she mockingly notes how he manages to find time for other women while working. She doubts his professional skills, wondering if a guy dressed so casually can actually protect anyone. Shen-an just plays it cool, leaving the heiress feeling more than a little intrigued by his attitude. A message from his future self pops up, warning him about the chaos that happened last time. Realizing Chu Yushi is a target for kidnapping, our boy locks in and prepares for a real fight. They finally reach the massive gourmet stage, where thousands of fans are screaming for the star. Jojo finds herself completely swallowed by the massive, rowdy crowd gathered for the big event. Feeling lost in the sea of people, she desperately wishes our boy was still there to protect her. Shen-an snaps into high alert mode, harshly ordering the fans to stay back from the star. Chu Yushi watches him closely, totally dumbfounded by how quickly his casual vibe shifted into something deadly serious. After she offers her gratitude, he simply plays it cool and says he is just doing his job. Our boy pulses his perception skill outward, scanning every corner of the stage for hidden killers or traps. He intercepts a worker to grill him about some suspicious crates, which supposedly contain rare mountain fruits. The staffer just laughs, explaining that rich folks are obsessed with how much sweeter mountain produce tastes lately. Shen-an senses a foul energy coming from the prizes, wondering why the target is the girl instead. As he watches Chu Yushi study her notes, he begins to suspect she might be hiding a dark secret. Chu Yushi takes the stage, greeting her fans with a smile, while our boy stays alert behind her. Suddenly, a crazed fan leaps from the crowd, holding a sign and screaming his love for the star. Han Feng tries to block the guy's path, warning him to stay behind the security barrier. Turns out this guy isn't trash tier, as he effortlessly dodges the guard with a sinister, superhuman grin. The attacker reaches the stage, leaving Chu Yushi trembling as he gets way too close for comfort. Shen-an instantly pulls her to safety, while Han Feng realizes this intruder is actually a serious threat. Our boy doesn't hesitate, landing a brutal high kick that sends the creep's head snapping back. He pins the guy down, demanding to know exactly who sent a professional assassin to this event. Before he can get answers, Lao Lao rushes over to stop the interrogation and take the prisoner. As they drag him off, the attacker curses his luck for failing despite being so close to his target. Shen-an notes the attacker's strength was off the charts, while Chu Yushi insists she's perfectly fine. Our boy pulls Han Feng aside, clearly sensing that the danger isn't over just yet. Standing outside the venue, Shen-an warns that the starlet might still be a target for more assassins. He explains the security team is trash tier, so Han Feng agrees to guard the perimeter instead. Later that night, Shen-an hits the showers to wash off the grime of a chaotic day. He collapses onto the bed, feeling relieved that nothing else went sideways after that crazy fan encounter. But his gut tells him something is wrong, so he decides to do one final sweep before sleeping. Using his perception skill, he's dumbfounded to find Chu Yuxi's room completely empty, and her gone. His heart sinks as he realizes he let his guard down, and the worst-case scenario just happened. Shen-an panics, wondering if the star was actually snatched right from under his nose. He immediately activates his perception skill to track her energy, realizing the trail is still fresh. Our boy wastes no time and follows the glowing residue out the door, desperate to fix his mistake. He spots Chu Yushi in the distance, but she isn't being dragged away. She's walking on her own. Turns out she's just having a secret meeting with her assistant, looking completely safe and professional. Shen An breathes a sigh of relief, though he's dumbfounded as to why they're acting so suspicious. Suddenly, his instincts scream at him as he senses a cold, murderous aura locking onto his position. A projectile whistles past his head, nearly taking him out before he can even process the threat. Some trash-tier assassin lunges at him with a blade, clearly not realizing who he's messing with. Shen An doesn't hesitate, drawing his weapon to shut down this ambush before it gets loud. The assassin is absolutely dumbfounded, never expecting our boy to be packing heat during a simple street ambush. Realizing he's completely outmatched, the trash-tier hitman retreats to find a better opening to complete his mission. Shen An quickly stashes his gear into the void, knowing the gunshots will have the police here in minutes. He finally returns to the room, exhaling in relief once he sees Chu Yuxi is safely fast asleep. With the immediate threat handled, he catches some much-needed rest before the next phase of his plan begins. Meanwhile, the mysterious purple-haired woman emerges from the darkness, her sharp eyes glowing with a hidden agenda. She finds the wounded assassin and tells him he was a complete fool for provoking someone that dangerous. The man grumbles that he was only testing the kid's strength to see if he's worth the organization's time. She warns him that poking a sleeping tiger is suicide, and they can't afford to make him an enemy. When he mentions the higher-ups' plans for recruitment, she coldly tells him that it's none of his concern. The mysterious woman orders the assassin to avoid Chu Yushi, while keeping a close watch on Shen An. He can only seethe in silence, clutching his bleeding shoulder while cursing the brat who humbled him. With no other choice, he retreats into the shadows, knowing he is lucky to even be alive. The final day of the gourmet competition arrives, and the tension in the air is thick enough to cut. Chu Yushi takes the stage for the big award ceremony, looking graceful despite the chaos from the night before. Our boy stands right behind her, acting as a human shield while his perception stays dialed to the max. Deep in the crowd, a group of infiltrators finalizes their plan to steal a rare fruit during the chaos. Shen An spots the logistics crew and immediately realizes these guys are way too disciplined to be simple staff. He suspects Captain Lee has moved her pieces, but a sudden shout from the announcer leaves him completely dumbfounded. When a stranger claims the prize, Shen An realizes the voices don't match and a trap is being sprung. Shen An suddenly realizes the first person to claim the prize is just the start of a massive setup. A silver-haired infiltrator sprints toward the stage, loudly declaring himself the winner to create a perfect distraction. He snatches the rare fruit from the tray, his eyes gleaming with the success of the heist. Both our boy and Chu Yushi are caught off guard as the thief makes his bold move. Suddenly, the rest of the infiltrators rush the stage, turning the entire ceremony into total, violent chaos. The mob swarms toward them, and Shen An knows he has to act fast to protect the starlet. He tells Chu Yushi to close her eyes and stay close, promising to handle these trash-tier thugs himself. As he prepares to fight, the people rushing him start dropping like flies for some unknown reason. It turns out the fake event staff are using silenced tranquilizers to systematically take down every single rioter. Our boy barely has time to process their tactical precision before a needle whizzes right past his head. Captain Lee makes her presence known, ignoring the shouts of those who think she is overstepping her bounds. A tranquilizer needle pierces our boy's neck, forcing his void talent to activate in a desperate defensive reaction. Shen An struggles to stay upright as he realizes these guys are far more prepared than he anticipated. Han Feng and Sun Ming rush toward their fallen comrade, completely dumbfounded by how fast things went south. A tactical officer cuts them off, flashing his credentials to prove this is now an official government operation. The two can only watch in silence as the team loads an unconscious Shen An into a van. Much later, our boy wakes up on a couch with Captain Lee, watching him like a hungry predator. Chu Yushi steps into the room, clearly worried about his health and questioning why he was taken. The starlet mentions the captain's recent awakening, trying to probe for the truth behind this sudden detention. Captain Lee shuts her down instantly, warning her that prying into EO business is a one-way ticket to trouble. Chu Yushi carries herself with a grace that hides the massive weight of her family's legendary reputation. Our boy realizes that the Chu family isn't just rich. They are the undisputed kings of Silver City. Turns out her father owns the entire entertainment industry, making her the literal princess of the city. Shen An finally connects the dots, realizing he's been protecting someone far above his usual pay grade. Chu Yushi turns to Captain Lee, asking if the chaos outside has finally been brought under control. The captain just stretches and boasts that her elite team can handle any trash-tier threat that appears. Suddenly, the sound of splintering wood echoes through the room as the wall begins to buckle and crack. A shadowy figure with glowing red eyes bursts through the door, sending a guard flying like a ragdoll. Captain Lee is completely dumbfounded as her supposedly elite security is dismantled in a single heartbeat. Chu Yushi screams a frantic warning for Wei Wei to move before the monster turns its sights on her. The mysterious intruder doesn't pull any punches, lunging at Chu Yushi and sending her reeling with a strike. This guy isn't some trash-tier thug. His cold, calculating gaze proves he's a seasoned pro on a mission. Our girl hits the floor hard, the sudden violence leaving her breathless and completely vulnerable to the next blow. As a guard lies broken nearby, the mustache-clad assailant demands to know the location of the precious spiritual fruit. Captain Lee steps in with her eyes glowing blue, flatly stating she has no clue what he's talking about. The infiltrator answers with a heavy punch, testing the captain's reflexes as she barely manages to block the impact. He just grins like a maniac, clearly impressed that a mere security officer can actually withstand his overwhelming strength. A heavy thud echoes through the room as he lands a punishing blow that sends shockwaves through her frame. Captain Lee slides back, her mind racing as she realizes this monster possesses a level of power she's never encountered. Refusing to back down, she gathers her strength and throws a desperate counterpunch to reclaim the momentum. Captain Lee lunges forward with everything she has, desperate to stop this trash-tier intruder from reaching the VIP. Our boy Shen An watches closely, wondering how she maintains such strength without any detectable elemental fluctuations. The mustache-wearing monster just sighs, admitting he is tired of playing around with someone so far below him. He moves with terrifying speed, leaving the captain completely dumbfounded as he closes the distance in a heartbeat. A brutal strike connects squarely with her chest, forcing her to cough up blood from the sheer impact. He looms over her like a grim reaper, raising his foot to deliver a final, bone-crushing stomp. Chu Yushi screams in absolute terror, realizing her protector is seconds away from being executed right before her. Suddenly, the infiltrator flinches as a sharp object whistles past his head with lethal, high-speed precision. Shen An finally makes his move, catching the falling captain and casually asking if she is still alive. The villain stares at the wall, stunned to see a simple access card embedded deep into the solid concrete. Captain Lee stares up in total disbelief, wondering how this guy is even standing after being heavily tranquilized earlier. Our boy just gives her a cheeky smirk, admitting he was actually playing possum the entire time. The captain freezes in place, suddenly terrified that he might have overheard her earlier trash talk regarding his abilities. Shen An ignores her panic and calmly tells her to stay put and rest her battered, broken body. As his hand touches her, a warm surge of energy flows through her, making her realize he is healing her. Despite the help, she desperately warns him to run, thinking he is way out of his league against this monster. The mustache-wearing trash-tier villain just laughs, calling Shen a nothing more than an insignificant bug in his way. Shen An just shrugs it off, jokingly claiming he is just a handsome nobody who will not be missed. The girls watch in absolute horror, certain that his reckless taunting has just signed his own death warrant. But our boy just flips him the bird, telling the villain he would need another lifetime to actually kill him. The mustache-wearing trash-tier villain snaps, telling our boy that he is practically begging for a painful death. He suddenly pauses, sensing a strange elemental aura, and realizing Shen An has mastered a very high-level breathing technique. Without another word, the infiltrator lunges forward, throwing a heavy punch backed by his overwhelming spiritual pressure. Shen An catches the strike head-on, the impact sending shockwaves through the room as their powers finally collide. Even with blood dripping from his mouth, the villain just laughs, clearly enjoying the thrill of the fight. Our boy grunts in pain as the purple energy flares up, threatening to overwhelm his defenses entirely. But as the energy swirls around him, he realizes his devour skill is actually absorbing the enemy's power. With a smug grin, he confirms that he can not only eat the attack, but store it for later. The massive force of the absorption sends the infiltrator sliding back, leaving him completely dumbfounded by the reversal. Now visibly sweating, the villain realizes he might have bitten off way more than he can chew. Shen An uses his perception to realize the military is playing a dangerous game of wait-and-see with the attackers. He mocks the infiltrator for yapping too much, making the old man's blood boil with pure, unadulterated rage. Our boy decides it is finally time to finish this and launches a heavy strike at the villain. The infiltrator counters with his own fist, screaming that the kid is far too arrogant for his own good. Their powers clash in a violent explosion of light, as neither side is willing to back down an inch. The villain is absolutely dumbfounded when he realizes his wave chi is being absorbed and turned against him. He stands over the defeated trash-tier master, gloating about how easy it was to return that stolen energy. Shen An processes the news that his opponent was actually a high-level master invited by the Chen family. Chu Yushi reveals the guy was an ancient warrior, a term that catches our boy completely off guard. He concludes that ancient cultivation techniques are resurfacing, making the world a lot more dangerous than he thought. Chuyushi warns our boy that Master Yan is a monster who won't take his disciple's death lightly. She offers to shield him under her family's name, feeling guilty for dragging him into this mess. Shen-an isn't interested in hiding and tells her, "Hell be waiting for whoever wants a piece." She continues to worry, explaining that the Chen family is cut from the same cloth and will retaliate. Captain Lee watches the exchange, realizing our boy is way more than just some trash-tier bodyguard. She makes her move, suggesting he join the military where the powerful factions can't touch him. Shen-an hasn't forgotten being tranquilized, and plans on paying them back for that stunt very soon. He leaves the ladies dumbfounded by simply announcing he's exhausted and heading home for some shut-eye. The night settles over the city as the dust from the chaotic battle finally begins to clear. Back at his place, our boy checks his phone, likely waiting for another tip from his future self. Our boy checks his phone to find his friends blowing up his inbox with worried messages after the chaos. He wonders why the big shots are so feared and decides it's time to consult his future self. The future version of himself dismisses the threat as irrelevant old-timers, telling him to focus on his growth. The night is quiet as he finally makes it back to his place, ready to call it a day. Reaching the door, he starts patting himself down, searching for the access card to get inside. The realization hits him like a truck when he finds his pockets are completely empty. He suddenly remembers using that very card as a projectile during the fight and leaving it behind like an amateur. Panicked and locked out, he decides his only hope is to give Sun Ming a frantic call for help. Before he can even dial, the phone lights up with a timely incoming call from his wealthy buddy. He answers immediately, feeling a wave of relief that his friend reached out at the perfect moment. Sun Ming drops a bombshell, telling our boy he has to leave and needs someone to watch his place. Shen-an is caught off guard, asking if something went wrong, but his buddy insists he's just going dark. Sun Ming gives a final plea to protect his home, before abruptly cutting the line. Turns out, the wealthy heir isn't on vacation. He's actually stuck in a remote training facility. A grizzled master drops a heavy load, coldly informing him that his training intensity has just been doubled. Sun Ming is absolutely dumbfounded, regretting his choices and wishing he could just return to his normal life. Back at the apartment, Shen-an senses his friend is hiding something and hopes he's doing okay. The gravity of his own situation returns as he realizes he's still stuck outside without his access card. After an hour of waiting, the locksmith finally leaves him with a working door and a lighter wallet. Our boy stares at the screen, wondering who could be calling from an unknown number at this hour. Shen-an's, and answers the unknown caller, immediately recognizing the voice and asking if she is doing all right. It turns out to be Jojo, who giggles and feels touched that he actually recognized her voice so quickly. Our boy plays it cool, admitting that he is a loyal fan who catches her live streams every single day. She explains how worried she was after his arrest, but he reassures her that the ordeal was a misunderstanding. Jojo mentions she is taking a break from the spotlight and will be hiding out at home. Curious about her whereabouts, Shen-an casually asks where she is staying during her time off. She reveals her secret location is Wanyuan Village, pleading with him not to leak this to her other fans. Suddenly, his future self warns of a coming outbreak there. Making him realize the world is incredibly small, he decides to test the waters, asking if she would be willing to host him if he visited. Jojo is completely dumbfounded by the suggestion, her face turning bright red as she questions his seriousness. Jojo is totally flustered, wondering if our boy just asked her out on a real date. She tries to stay reserved, but her blushing face tells a completely different story. Shen-an just grins, making her promise not to back out of their little arrangement. Once the call ends, he settles in, knowing he needs to sharpen his skills immediately. After some time, he realizes his current energy supply isn't enough to reach the next level. A sudden notification breaks his focus, pulling him out of his deep meditative state. He checks the message and smiles, realizing his other self always has his back. It's a digital manual for the broken star blade technique, exactly what he needs right now. Under the clear sky, he finds a quiet spot to begin his intense physical training. Our boy unleashes a powerful strike, feeling the weight of his future self's expectations. Our boy starts swinging a tennis racket, jokingly calling himself a sword master despite the trash-tier gear. He realizes the broken star blade technique feels wrong without a real blade and needs a proper weapon. Suddenly, he's dumbfounded by the massive destruction his practice swing just caused to the entire room. Looking at the wreckage, he wonders how a simple racket could unleash such terrifying, destructive power. A few hours later, he decides to head out, catching the first bus available to leave the city. Shen-an arrives at Wanyuan Village, hoping to find Jojo and a place to lay low. The bus rolls through the peaceful countryside, a sharp contrast to the chaotic energy he just unleashed. He takes a moment to rest, letting his mind settle before the next phase of his journey. He spots a strange, metallic-looking iron tree that seems to pulse with a unique, sturdy energy. Touching the bark, he realizes this rare material might be the key to crafting a real sword. Shen-an manifests a blade, realizing he can actually forge weapons from the materials in this mental space. He wonders if this void allows him to craft anything he desires, just by thinking it into existence. A drop of spiritual water ripples, reacting to his presence and the growing energy within the realm. Our boy finds he can move the spiritual water at will, controlling the fluid like a seasoned master. Testing his limits, he discovers he won't sink, standing firmly on the surface, as if it were solid ground. He starts performing a lightness technique, sprinting across the water with a grin, feeling like a true cultivation expert. Reaching out toward the iron trees, he attempts to channel his mana to reshape the very environment around him. Suddenly, a dozen blades materialize, making him feel completely invincible within this strange, private world of his. He gets greedy, and tries to manifest a massive mountain, eager to see just how far this power goes. Turns out he can only transform existing objects, but his training is cut short when voices call him awake. Shen-an is jolted awake, his training in the void cut short by a rough hand on his shoulder. A grumpy attendant scolds him for oversleeping, leaving our boy feeling a bit embarrassed as he quickly apologizes. Stepping off the bus, he is greeted by a breathtaking view of mountains far removed from the city's chaos. He admires the extraordinary scenery, realizing just how deep into the countryside his journey has taken him. Looking around the quiet station, he is almost dumbfounded by the lack of people and wonders if he's lost. Using his refined movement skills, he dashes forward, eager to reach his destination before the sun sets. He finally reaches the entrance of Wanyuan village, marked by an ancient-looking stone monument. The village seems peaceful enough, with locals going about their daily business, unaware of the storm brewing elsewhere. A young villager stops what he is doing, eyeing the newcomer with a mix of suspicion and curiosity. Shen-an politely confirms his location, while the local wonders if he is just another trash-tier tourist lost. Shen-an tries playing it cool, telling the skeptical local he is only there to visit a colleague. The villager mentions suspicious outsiders digging on the mountain, making our boy realize he has trash-tier competition. Just as the old man accuses him of being a liar, a familiar voice interrupts their tense standoff. He turns around and is completely dumbfounded to see the famous streamer standing right there. Jojo is absolutely beaming, genuinely impressed that he managed to track her down to this remote village. To protect her secret, Shen-an claims they were schoolmates, leaving her father totally shell-shocked and dumbfounded. The panicked dad sprints away to process the news, while Jojo praises his incredible determination and speed. High above the village streets, a silent observer watches their reunion with a cold, calculating gaze. The mysterious purple-haired woman smirks, noting that the boy arrived exactly when she predicted he would. Eager to show off, Shen-an offers to perform a magic trick for his surprised friend. Shen-an tells her to keep her eyes peeled as he starts the final countdown for his big surprise. Using his void crafting skills, our boy manifests a beautiful necklace right out of thin air. Jojo is completely dumbfounded, wondering how on earth he pulled off such a high-tier stunt. He just plays it cool, claiming he crafted the piece himself and that it is essentially worthless. She is clearly smitten, but insists he should not waste his resources on gifts for her anymore. When he questions her about a next time, she turns into a blushing mess, totally losing her composure. Suddenly, his senses spike, as he feels a chilling presence nearby that sets his nerves on edge. The air grows heavy with an ominous aura, making him realize they are not as alone as they thought. Not wanting to scare her, he quickly hides his concern and pretends that everything is perfectly fine. Behind him, her father looms like a vengeful spirit, ready to drag her away from this suspicious outsider. Jojo apologizes for the chaos and asks where our boy is staying, hoping he won't leave yet. Shen-an plays it cool, mentioning he lives nearby but definitely needs a new spot to crash soon. Suddenly, he feels a cold shiver down his spine as a menacing figure looms right over his shoulder. The local man drags her away, but she quickly whispers for him to keep in touch before disappearing. Left alone, our boy narrows his eyes, sensing that the peaceful village vibe is just a total facade. He calls out into the empty air, demanding to know who exactly has been lurking in the shadows. The mysterious purple-haired woman reveals herself, genuinely impressed that he managed to pick up on her presence. He chalks it up to pure intuition and asks why she's been tailing him like a common stalker. She just scoffs, pointing out that he was actually the one who arrived later, flipping the script entirely. Claiming she wants a collaboration, she tells him to follow her if he wants the real story. She suggests they team up since they both sensed the weird energy fluctuations coming from beneath the village. They head toward a rundown building where a familiar face is already waiting for them in the shadows. Our boy remains skeptical, even as she reminds him they have technically worked together in the past. Suddenly, The red-haired fire breather pops out, acting like they are all best buddies reunited for a mission. Shen An looks absolutely disgusted, wondering if this trash-tier hothead is actually supposed to be a reliable partner. The guy starts sweating, swearing he has finally grown a spine since the last time they crossed paths. Still, our boy is not buying it, and demands a single good reason to trust him this time. Turns out his pyrokinesis is spiraling out of control, and he is desperate for a way to tame the flame. The woman explains that bottled-up powers eventually backfire, forcing them to find a safe outlet for their energy. When asked if he feels the same pressure, Shen An just shrugs, claiming his powers are much more subtle. The mysterious woman drops some intel about underground energy spikes and the rare elemental oxygen appearing later tonight. Shen An realizes that while these guys are shady, having backup for the Southwest Mountain Trek is necessary. She leaves the choice to him, while the red-haired hothead stands there looking completely dumbfounded by the news. Even if their tech is trash tier at tracking the source, she admits she is putting her faith in him. Our boy makes it clear he is only in this for the oxygen, and couldn't care less about anything else. They agree to pinpoint the exact location after the energy shifts, despite the fire breather's loud-mouthed skepticism. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocks the horizon, catching Shen, and completely off guard as smoke fills the sky. He realizes, with a sinking feeling, that the blast came directly from the direction of Wanyuan village. Since the area has no gas lines, he suspects the elemental oxygen is already starting to erupt violently. While our boy worries about the locals, the trash-tier fire breather just laughs about the backward village burning down. Shen An glares back, his mind racing as he processes the sudden chaos erupting in the distance. Up on the roof, the trash-tier hothead wonders why our boy has such a massive ego despite the danger. The purple-haired woman explains they must cooperate since he already defeated a master and has military ties. She sternly warns the fire breather that ruining this plan will carry consequences he isn't ready to face. He just seethes in silence, promising himself that hell make her regret siding with a nobody like Shen An. Meanwhile, our boy quickly texts the streamer to check if she's actually safe from the spreading flames. Jojo looks completely exhausted, but reassures him that the locals are currently keeping the fire contained. He tucks his phone away, but the weight of the situation feels heavier than just a simple village fire. His future self confirms his worst fears, revealing the village was completely wiped out in the original timeline. Realizing the streamer's life is on the line, Shen An knows he has to move before history repeats itself. Shen An initiates a video call, desperate to see the situation with his own eyes before it's too late. Jojo picks up, looking dumbfounded, as she asks why he's suddenly insisting she return to the city. He doesn't have time for small talk and tells her to grab her family and run immediately. When he warns her the village is finished, she begins to feel the suspicious weight of his words. She admits that multiple fires have broken out recently, wondering if he actually knows something she doesn't. Our boy can't explain the future timeline yet, so he just begs her to trust his instincts for once. He hangs up the phone, staring at the quiet village that's destined to become a total graveyard. Meanwhile, Jojo tries to convince her father to leave, but the old man just wants to fight fires. He stomps off with his bucket, completely ignoring her pleas as if she's just being a trash-tier daughter. Left alone in the dark, she stares at her screen, torn between her family and the chilling warning. Our boy checks his phone only to see Jojo politely declining his urgent warning to flee. He sighs, realizing nobody in their right mind would move their entire family over a few cryptic words. Staring into the darkness, he feels the heavy silence of a village that is about to be wiped out. This location is supposed to be the epicenter for elemental oxygen, and the future says it starts now. Right on cue, the ground begins to rumble, as a violent tremor tears through the peaceful mountain town. The locals start panicking and screaming about an earthquake, but they have no idea what is actually waking up. Brilliant pillars of light suddenly pierce the night sky, signaling that the predicted anomaly is finally here. A group of special operations agents stationed nearby immediately spring into action as the world starts to burn. They gather around the glowing crater, ready to face the terrifying changes that are about to reshape reality. One agent stands dumbfounded as a streak of pure energy narrowly misses him during the chaotic eruption. Captain Lee takes charge, ordering her squad to douse the flames before dealing with anything else. This doesn't sit well with the fire breather, who screams that they are practically begging for death. He stands amidst the blaze, fuming because the interruption just ruined his high-level cultivation session. Recognizing her as an iron attribute user, the hothead realizes he's dealing with the infamous Bai Weiwei. The battlefield is set as the two powers clash, with the surrounding forest turning into a literal hellscape. He doesn't waste time and launches a concentrated blast of heat, calling her a strange woman. The impact sends the captain reeling, leaving her subordinates dumbfounded by the enemy's raw power. Walking through the embers, the punk mocks her, noting that while she's tough, her clothes certainly aren't. Pushed to her limit, She tosses her burnt jacket aside and prepares to show the kid some respect. She lunges forward with a massive strike, while the fire breather just laughs and welcomes the challenge. Captain Lee feels the searing heat as she blocks a point-blank blast from the arrogant fire breather. She narrowly evades a massive plume of flames, realizing her iron attribute is being pushed to its limit. The punk mocks her agility with a filthy comment, but she just glares back, unfazed by his trash talk. He laughs like a maniac, boasting about his power while the forest turns into a literal hellscape. Fed up with the chatter, the captain channels her strength into a heavy, decisive counterattack. The fire breather is caught off guard as a shockwave of pure force shatters his cocky composure. She closes the gap instantly, burying a heavy fist right into the trash-tier villain's chest. His face contorts in pain as the raw impact of her iron-enhanced strike rattles his entire skull. With the momentum shifted, she stands firm while the hothead is sent stumbling back through the embers. Wiping blood from his lip, he realizes this fight is far from over and welcomes the challenge. Captain Lee isn't done yet, cracking her knuckles as her iron attribute power surges for another round. Watching from the shadows, the purple-haired woman calls them fools. Frustrated, she has to keep her strength hidden. Meanwhile, our boy Shen-an watches the forest transform into a furnace, feeling the heat become unbearable. He tries to maintain his composure, while the void energy around him begins to react to the environment. Suddenly, the heat gets real, as his shoes literally start catching fire, forcing a frantic reaction. He scrambles back from the encroaching flames, desperate to find a way to stabilize the chaotic energy. As the fire spreads, he realizes he needs that elemental oxygen now if he wants to survive. Just as things look bleak, he senses a shift in the atmosphere and knows his prize has arrived. A massive spatial rift tears open, flooding him with potential as he begins devouring the raw energy. Feeling the rush, Shen-an laughs as his power doubles, finally turning this disaster into a massive win. Shen-an's senses spike as he realizes someone has been watching him through the thick smoke and mirrors. He stands his ground amidst the inferno, wondering if this newcomer is just another trash-tier distraction or a threat. The scorched earth hisses beneath his feet, signaling that the elemental oxygen is reaching a critical, volatile state. Suddenly, the purple-haired woman manifests, questioning why our boy didn't show up at the agreed-upon location earlier. Shen-an isn't having it, firing back that she lied first and has zero right to criticize him. He points out her suspicious behavior, asking if her partner ditched her again in this burning wasteland. She ignores the jab and suggests they cooperate to hide from the experts drawn to the energy surge. Shen-an ponders her plan to use an invisibility formation, realizing it is the only way to stay hidden. She hesitates for a moment, her expression shifting as she prepares to reveal the true cost of her help. Turns out, she needs Shen-an to provide her with raw energy to fuel the complex formation. Shen-an is completely dumbfounded, wondering how on earth he's supposed to transfer his raw energy to her. Suddenly, she gets way too close for comfort, making our boy's heart race as he lets out a panicked yelp. She shoots him a trash-tier glare, ordering him to sit down and place his palms firmly against her back. Realizing he overstepped, Shen-an nervously laughs it off and tries to play cool while sitting on the scorched earth. As soon as his hands make contact, a surge of vibrant blue energy begins flowing steadily into her body. She lets out a soft breath, feeling the raw power of his unique energy signature coursing through her veins. Channeling his strength, she manifests a concentrated orb of purple mana to initiate the complex concealment technique. A massive shimmering dome erupts around them, perfectly masking their presence from any prying eyes in the burning forest. With the perimeter secure, she notes that they can finally focus on absorbing the volatile elemental oxygen without interruption. She coldly tells him to let go, leaving our boy awkward and flustered after such an intense mana exchange. Mu Lingqiu struggles to absorb the elemental oxygen, frustrated that the process is moving at a snail's pace. She tells our boy to open his eyes, likely expecting him to be just as overwhelmed by the pressure. To her absolute shock, Shen-an is absorbing energy at a terrifying rate, making her question his true talent. After an hour of intense cultivation, the massive purple concealment dome finally begins to shatter and fade away. Nearby, Captain Lee is gasping for air, looking completely exhausted from her relentless battle against the flames. The fire breather is equally spent, cursing under his breath about how annoyingly resilient the captain turned out to be. When the tactical backup finally arrives, the captain's eyes widen as she catches sight of a familiar face. She watches in disbelief as Shen-an casually walks through the burning forest alongside the mysterious purple-haired woman. The soldiers quickly identify her as a member of the notorious Dark Group, leaving the captain totally dumbfounded. Mu Lingqiu gives a cryptic parting wish for him to take care, leaving our boy scratching his head. Shen-an is left stunned as the mysterious woman vanishes, leaving him to face the music alone. Before he can even process her departure, a tactical officer lunges at him with lethal intent. Our boy just scoffs at their trash-tier coordination as they try to swarm him with blades. The agent realizes he was seen with the dark group member and assumes he is a traitor. Captain Lee screams for them to stop, knowing full well that things are spiraling out of control. Shen An realizes that crafty woman deliberately framed him to look like they were cut from the same cloth. He remains cold and composed, knowing that explaining himself to these hot-headed soldiers is a waste of breath. The captain is left completely dumbfounded, caught between her duty and the debt she owes her savior. Even as they try to corner him, the sheer weight of his presence makes the soldiers hesitate. She demands to know why he just stood by while she struggled against the fire-breathing monster earlier. The tactical agent orders a capture, convinced our boy is a trash-tier traitor linked to the dark group. Shen An just scoffs at the accusation, completely unfazed by the growing circle of hostile soldiers around him. They charge in with zero hesitation, thinking their numbers can actually suppress a monster of his caliber. Captain Lee snaps and commands the lead agent to stand down before things get bloodier than they are. Turns out these guys are puppets for the Chen family, and they aren't planning on playing by the rules. The realization hits her like a truck as she sees the deep-rooted corruption within her own operation. She berates them for targeting an innocent savior, while a literal fire demon was burning down the forest. Our boy just chuckles, asking the lead goon if he really thinks his empty threats carry any weight. He casually turns to the captain and asks if she would mind if he just wiped these pests out. Fed up with the betrayal, she gives him the green light to do whatever he wants with them. Shen An beckons them forward, mockingly asking if these Chen family dogs have any final words before dying. The lead agent loses his cool and charges, screaming that our boy is just asking for a painful death. He doesn't even blink, drawing his broken star blade as a toxic green energy coats the steel. With a single swing, he treats the squad like a home run, sending a massive shockwave through them. One trash-tier goon tries to sneak an overhead strike, thinking he's found an opening in the chaos. Shen An doesn't even look back, effortlessly parrying, while the agent realizes he's completely outclassed. He coldly tells the man that he'll be the one visiting the afterlife today instead. In a flash of movement, the rest of the squad is swept away like dust in a hurricane. The last man standing is left completely dumbfounded, unable to process the terrifying power he's witnessing. Shen An stops dead in his tracks as a massive inferno suddenly paints the horizon a hellish orange. He realizes with a sinking heart that the fire is consuming Wanyuan village, leaving him completely dumbfounded. Captain Lee doesn't waste a second, charging toward the heat while our boy wonders what she's thinking. Activating his void perception, he decides that the village's survival is far more important than any petty grudge. The entire settlement has been turned into a literal furnace, with ancient buildings crumbling under the intense heat. Turns out the fire breather is the culprit, laughing like a maniac as he revels in his destructive power. A massive explosion of mana shatters the stone structures, sending debris flying through the smoke-filled air. Shen An dives into the ruins, using his energy shield to protect the terrified locals from being incinerated. He grits his teeth and focuses, knowing that saving these lives is his only priority right now. Shen An uses his void shield to protect a mother and child from the blistering heat of the inferno. He holds the boy tight, feeling the weight of the lives currently resting on his shoulders. Spotting Jojo's father trapped under debris, our boy rushes over to pull him from the wreckage. The old man desperately begs him to find his daughter, who went out for a walk alone. Shen An activates his void perception, but he is frustrated when he cannot find a trace of her. A sudden cry for help echoes through the smoke, snapping him back into high alert mode. He realizes he has to save as many as possible while hunting for the missing streamer. The rescued locals gather in a safe zone, looking completely dumbfounded as their village burns to ash. Shen An shouts for Captain Lee to evacuate the injured while he prepares for another rescue run. Captain Lee checks her coordinates and confirms she is ready to move as the fires rage behind her. Our boy finally catches a break when his void perception picks up a faint response from the surrounding area. A massive pillar of light suddenly erupts into the sky, leaving the onlookers completely dumbfounded by the display. The locals can only watch in awe, convinced that a god has descended to save them from the disaster. Shen An wastes no time and sprints through the woods, following the trace of energy at high speed. He skids to a halt when he realizes that Jojo's presence is vibrating right in front of him. Looking at a dark cavern, he wonders how on earth a simple streamer could have ended up here. He cautiously enters the narrow passage, noting it is just wide enough for two people to move through. Suddenly, his gut twists with the realization that something is horribly wrong with the energy he is sensing. Shen An stares into the abyss, only to see two glowing red eyes staring right back at him. He activates his void perception, his eyes glowing as he tries to gauge the threat hiding ahead. A trash tier encounter, this is not. as a massive mutated bear roars and charges with insane speed. Our boy barely manages to leap out of the way, realizing this beast is breaking all the rules. He observes the creature's hulking frame, noting its strength and speed are far beyond any normal mutation. When he tells the beast to wait, it actually stops, making him wonder if it understands human speech. Hoping for a peaceful resolution, he puts on a friendly face and claims he means no harm. Just as he starts to introduce himself, the beast decides it has heard enough and lunges forward. The bear's massive paw connects, sending him flying through the air like a discarded rag doll. Crashing into the dirt, he grumbles about the beast playing dirty and successfully pissing him off. The beast charges again, but our boy is done playing nice and prepares to finally hit back. Shen-an decides to match the creature's raw power, channeling intense void energy into his fist for a counter. Their forces collide with a heavy thud as he meets the massive paw head-on with a confident smirk. The monster lets out a pained roar, shocked that a mere human can withstand its overwhelming physical might. He doesn't stop there, driving a heavy strike into the dirt to completely destabilize the trash-tier monster. The bear screams in agony, its red eyes flickering as the sheer force of the impact rattles its skull. They trade a flurry of blows, but Shen-an's refined technique quickly begins to overwhelm the beast's wild instincts. Turns out the big guy isn't so tough, as it ends up curled in a ball and sobbing pathetically. Shen-an stands there dumbfounded, watching the once terrifying predator wail like a toddler who just lost its lunch. He notes how the beast has suddenly become agreeable, though its dramatic change of heart is definitely a first. Shen-an freezes as a familiar voice whispers about the opening of a demon realm gate. His future self explains that their connection has evolved, allowing them to share consciousness and thoughts directly. Our boy immediately panics, wondering if this means his future self sees every private moment in the bathroom. The translucent guide just sighs, clearly disappointed by how shameless his past self can be sometimes. He warns that the world is changing, and these new demonic zones signal an era of unprecedented crisis. Looking at the defeated beast, he notes it's just a low-level demon, compared to Shen-an's current strength. He explains the 9 grades of power, betting that this experience will finally push Shen-an to S rank. Shen-an is dumbfounded as the bear shrinks, learning that size manipulation is just a basic cultivation trick. They venture deeper into the cave, where a strange light reveals someone resting on a stone altar. He finds Jojo unconscious, while the trash-tier bear hides its face in total shame for its actions. Shen-an wonders if this trash-tier bear actually has a weird crush on the streamer. He gently shakes Jojo, trying to bring her back to consciousness in this damp cave. When she finally opens her eyes, she is dumbfounded to see our boy standing right there. She immediately clings to him in a panic, spotting the terrifying shadow of the beast behind them. Shen-an holds her close, asking if she is hurt while completely ignoring the monster's presence. The massive bear looms over them, its glowing eyes radiating a pressure that would crush normal humans. Jojo points at the beast, her voice trembling as she warns him about the predator. Our boy just flashes a confident grin, telling her that he has already got the situation handled. He points a thumb at himself, making it clear to the bear that she is his responsibility. The beast just grumbles in frustration, realizing it has no choice but to obey its new master. Shen-an warns the bear that any more attitude will result in a very painful and messy beatdown. The beast immediately folds, giving a clumsy thumbs up to show it knows exactly who the boss is. Jojo is left dumbfounded when the once terrifying predator starts acting like a pampered, nuzzling house pet. She can't help but giggle as the massive creature puts on a ridiculous, sparkly-eyed display of affection. Turning his attention back to her, our boy asks how she even ended up in this dangerous cavern. She admits that his previous warnings kept her awake, leading her to take a fateful mountain stroll. Shen-an stares at the now submissive bear, realizing the mutation has been thoroughly humbled by his power. Suddenly, she realizes he must be an Awakener, and starts bombarding him with questions about his hidden abilities. He flashes a charming smile, desperately trying to change the subject before she digs into his secrets. As he carries her out, the bear waves a tearful goodbye, mourning its lost status as a predator. Jojo explains how she's been researching the world's changes and the mysterious existence of Awakeners. She realizes that as an Awakener, our boy belongs to a completely different, eternal world than her. Finally, reaching the village, Shen-an tells her she's safe and it's time to head home. She clings to him one last time, terrified that their paths will never cross again after today. Her parents come sprinting out, frantic with worry after her sudden disappearance into the dangerous mountains. Jojo puts on a brave face for her family, while our boy stands silently in the background. As they fuss over her, Shen-an watches the reunion, knowing his job here is finally done. She looks back with a heavy heart, realizing the massive gap between a normal life and his. Without a word, our boy slips back into the shadows of the forest, heading toward his next destination. He walks alone, already focused on the growing chaos of a world that's rapidly leaving normalcy behind. Captain Lee catches up to our boy, warning him that the Chen family is out for blood. Shen An just shrugs it off, telling her he couldn't care less about their petty grudges. She watches him go, dumbfounded by how he switches from a pathetic weakling to a domineering monster. Looking at his retreating back, a realization starts to dawn on the captain. She wonders if this mysterious kid is actually the masked warrior who previously saved her life. Our boy waves her off with a casual thanks, leaving her to question just how deep his power goes. Back at his apartment, the city lights flicker as he prepares for the next stage of his evolution. Opening his system, he sees a mountain of talent points ready to be spent on god-tier abilities. He's shocked to find a talent shop, realizing he can actually buy his way to the top. Following his future self's advice, he upgrades his devouring skill to S rank, feeling a massive surge of strength. Shenan soaks in a void pool, raking in talent points like it is a trash-tier mobile game. His system reveals a massive stash of points and a shop filled with god-tier skills he needs. Our boy smirks, vowing to snag the Eye of Perception once he grinds enough points to afford it. Meanwhile, at the EO headquarters, the atmosphere is thick with tension as a report is finally delivered. Captain Lee steps into the office, ready to face the music after the chaotic mess at Wanyuan Mountain. She keeps her cool, knowing her every word will be scrutinized by higher-ups looking for a scapegoat. Hongju demands the truth about the incident, while that snake Chen Ziliang watches with a smug grin. She glares at the trash-tier noble, realizing he is just waiting for her to slip up and fail. Captain Lee carefully recounts the battle, framing the conflict with Shen An to protect his secret for now. Suddenly, a sharp-eyed researcher steps in to back her up, confirming that her report is actually the truth. Captain Lee is dumbfounded, realizing this woman was right next to her without being sensed at all. Turns out she is a psychiatrist who used mental tricks to mask her presence from the captain's senses. Our girl just scoffs, clearly not a fan of having her perception toyed with by some brain doctor. The researcher just keeps that professional smile, knowing she has the upper hand in this high-tension room. Hongju finally drops the hammer, officially discharging the trash-tier noble for his reckless and insubordinate behavior. Chen Ziliang loses it, screaming that they are disrespecting the prestige of the powerful Chen family. Before he can finish his tantrum, a stone-faced agent shuts him up with a heavy-handed punch. The blow sends the arrogant brat flying across the room, finally ending his loud-mouthed whining. Hongju does not even blink, coldly ordering his men to drag the disgrace out of his sight. Captain Lee watches the trash being taken out, satisfied that the black sheep finally got what he deserved. Captain Lee warns that the Chen family won't stop hunting our boy if he's truly the masked savior. Hongju decides to abandon the Chens to their fate, hoping Shen An won't hold a grudge against them. Later that night, Shen An walks through the quiet city, sensing that the atmosphere has grown dangerously heavy. A high-end sports car suddenly pulls up, and our boy realizes his quiet night is officially over. Chu Yushi drops her sunglasses and tells him to get in before the situation turns even more south. They peel out into the night, the tires screaming as they leave the potential kill zone behind. Shen An asks how she tracked him down, but she reminds him her family owns the local hotel. She explains that the area is crawling with assassins, and the Chens have officially banned him from leaving. Since her family still has some clout, she offers him a place to hide out at her manor. Our boy just sighs and declines the offer, knowing he can handle any trash-tier thugs on his own. Shen An tells Chu Yusi to pull over since they've finally reached his neck of the woods. The sports car comes to a sudden halt, marking the end of their high-speed getaway for now. As he steps out, the heiress can only sigh, realizing our boy is far too stubborn for her protection. His peaceful return is cut short by a trash-tier thug shouting about how his boss never pays for meals. A local stall owner is being cornered by a bully who threatens to smash her livelihood into pieces. When asked if he knows her, Shen explains she's a divorced mother just trying to get by. He decides to investigate the trouble, and Chu Yushi follows closely, unwilling to leave his side just yet. The thugs reveal their true colors, planning to kidnap the woman as a gift for the Chen family. Xiaosan loses his patience and grabs her arm, but he has no idea he's about to have a bad night. A bottle shatters across his head in a spray of glass, proving that some people never learn their lesson. Xiaosan is absolutely losing it, clutching his head while wondering who just dared to attack him. Our boy stands firm alongside the heiress as the trash-tier thug collapses amidst a sea of shattered glass. Chu Yusi casually claims her hands just slipped, though her calm demeanor suggests she is hiding a monthly annoyance. The situation escalates when Brother Hu arrives with his backup, demanding to know if they are tired of living. He lights a cigarette with a smug look, warning them to back off or face a painful death. Before he can even exhale, his subordinates are sent flying back by a sudden, invisible wave of force. Shen An is left dumbfounded by the display, realizing the heiress might be more dangerous than she looks. Brother Hu's smugness instantly vanishes, replaced by a frantic scream as his world starts falling apart. He tries to regain his composure, mocking the kid for having the nerve to stand against his authority. Shen An does not wait for the lecture to end, silencing the bully with a heavy, bone-crunching punch. Brother Hu is sprawled on the floor, spitting out desperate threats about his connection to the Chen family. Our boy just sighs, noting that he and the Chens already have a long, messy history together anyway. The trash-tier thug turns his rage toward Chu Yushi, swearing he will remember her face for this humiliation. She just gives a playful smirk, casually suggesting that Shenan should just finish him off for her. Shenan laughs and rolls up his sleeves, deciding to give the bully a truly unforgettable impression. Chu Yushi walks off into the night, reminding him that her offer of help still stands if needed. Turning back to business, Shenan tells Sister Qing to tally up the bill, plus some psychological damages. Realizing he is completely outmatched, Brother Hu begrudgingly pulls out a stack of cash to settle the debt. He hands over the money while secretly planning to let his boss turn Shen An's life into hell. The whole group of losers finally retreats, limping away into the city lights to lick their wounds. Sister Qing begs Shen An to run before those trash-tier thugs return to settle the score. Our boy just keeps it cool, insisting that she should be the one staying out of sight. Over at a flashy KTV, Brother Hu is already crying to his boss for bloody revenge. Chen Zilin of the powerful Chen family listens intently while enjoying a glass of expensive wine. The battered thugs recount their defeat, making sure to paint Shen An as a dangerous monster. A subordinate arrives with a tablet, having already secured the CCTV footage from the street. Zilin looks at the screen and scoffs, utterly unimpressed by what looks like a mere child. He tells his elite enforcer, Bai Liang, to locate the brat and bring him back immediately. The arrogant noble is dying to see who thinks they can disrespect him in his own city. As Bai Liang bows in obedience, Brother Hu smirks, knowing Shen An is finally cooked. The hit squad finally tracks down our boy's apartment building under the cover of night. Brother Hu points out the exact floor, eager to let the elite enforcer handle the heavy lifting. Shen An is just finishing a shower when he hears the trash-tier thugs barging into his living room. Stepping out to see the commotion, he is greeted by a very loud and very vengeful Brother Hu. The coward screams for blood, demanding that his new backup put an end to Shen An right now. Bai Liang ignores the shouting, instead sensing the powerful aura of an Awakener radiating from the kid. He calmly informs Shen An that the big boss wants a word and he is coming with them. Instead of being scared, our boy just smirks, thinking it is the perfect time to settle the score anyway. He tells them to lead the way, looking completely unbothered despite wearing nothing but a hoodie and flip-flops. The crew heads back to the KTV, where the arrogant Chen Zilin is waiting for his prize. Chen Zilin is busy enjoying the nightlife when an urgent warning about a certain troublemaker hits his phone. He realizes the kid being flagged by his family is the same one who humbled his men earlier. Seeing an opportunity to prove himself, he ignores the warning and orders Bai Liang to kill him. He even calls in more muscle, determined to bring back the kid's head to satisfy his ego. Outside the apartment, Bai Liang gets the green light and prepares to finish this trash-tier job quickly. He moves like a shadow, lunging with a lethal blade while the other thugs watch in awe. The cold steel whistles past his neck, a strike meant to end the boy's life in a heartbeat. Brother Hu starts hooting and hollering, fully convinced that their nightmare is finally over. It was a perfect, professional strike, but something feels wrong as the blade meets only empty air. Bai Liang freezes in terror as our boy appears behind him, completely untouched by the desperate ambush. Bai Liang is absolutely dumbfounded, wondering how on earth the kid moved so fast. Using his void manipulation, our boy literally flickers out of existence like a glitch in reality. He reappears right behind the assassin, looking down with a gaze that says the hunt is over. The elite enforcer drops to his knees, pathetically begging for his life as the other thugs watch. Shen An unsheathes his glowing blade, coldly telling the man that mercy isn't on the menu today. A crimson spray paints the room, leaving Brother Hu and his lackeys paralyzed by the sudden violence. The remaining trash-tier muscle collapse instantly, hoping their desperate prayers might actually save their worthless necks. With a casual flick, he carves through the air so fast that the fruit nearby splits in half. Brother Hu is a shaking mess on the floor, convinced he is the next one to meet the Reaper. Our boy just smiles and promises not to kill him yet, because he still has uses for him. Brother Hu tries to bolt, but he's clearly not built for high-speed escapes. He slips on a stray banana peel like a total amateur, face-planting right into the wall with a thud. Shen An just sighs, telling the idiot he needs a guide to reach the elusive Mr. Chen. Our boy gives him a firm kick, suspecting the trash-tier goon is just faking his unconscious state. He delivers a few quick slaps, refusing to let his only lead slip into a convenient coma. Out of nowhere, green streaks of energy whistle past his ear, narrowly missing his head in a flash. Looking at the blade, he figures this isn't some random power, but a refined ancient hidden weapon technique. More glowing daggers rain down from the shadows, cutting through the air with lethal precision and speed. Shen-an twists his body mid-air, effortlessly weaving through the projectiles like they're moving in slow motion. Our boy is genuinely dumbfounded when he sees the next projectile waiting for him at his landing spot. Shen-an realizes he's facing at least 3 professional killers using lethal, poison-tipped projectiles. He knows that as long as these rats stay hidden, he remains a sitting duck for their next strike. Another glowing dart whistles through the air, humming with a toxic energy meant to end him instantly. Our boy uses his devour skill to swallow the attack, deciding it's time to lure the cowards out. He collapses onto the floor, putting on a masterclass performance of a man meeting his pathetic end. The shadows finally emerge, gloating over the fact that their poison has finally brought the target down. Shen-an clutches his side and groans, making sure his fake struggle looks convincing enough for the kill. The assassins reveal themselves, already counting the 5 million bounty the Chen family promised for his head. They burst into celebratory laughter, convinced that their big payday is finally lying right at their feet. Suddenly, our boy jumps up and joins their laughter, leaving the trash-tier hitmen completely dumbfounded and terrified. Shen-an asks if they are surprised to see him standing after their pathetic attempt at an ambush. He doesn't give them a second to breathe, immediately crushing their feet into the cracked floor. Our boy mocks their dart-throwing skills, deciding it's finally his turn to play a little game. He launches the toxic projectile back at them with a speed their eyes can't even follow. The trash-tier hitmen are completely dumbfounded as their own lethal weapon comes screaming back at them. Using his void manipulation, he splits the dart into multiple strikes to ensure no one escapes. The projectiles find their marks instantly, turning these arrogant hunters into nothing more than helpless prey. The lead assassin can only gasp in horror as his entire squad is dismantled in seconds. Shen-an looms over the last survivor, mockingly calling him a lucky member of the audience. He smiles politely, while demanding that the old man takes him straight to the Chen family boss. Chen Zilan is losing his mind, screaming into his phone because his trash-tier hitmen aren't picking up. He hears a sudden noise at the entrance and assumes his squad has finally returned with good news. Our boy kicks the door down, casually dragging the half-dead lead assassin inside like a sack of garbage. Chen Zilan is completely dumbfounded, trembling as the very target he tried to kill stands right before him. Shen-an makes himself at home, mockingly asking the boss if he finds his appearance handsome enough. The coward tries to play the family card, desperately asking if Shen-an realizes whose territory he's invading. Seeing that threats won't work, he immediately switches gears and tries to buy his way out of death. He claims he's just a harmless rich kid, promising that his family will back off if he's spared. Internally, the snake is still plotting, hoping to stall until a master named Butler Zhou arrives to help. Shen-an just smiles, deciding to wait around because he's curious to see what the Chen family actually has. Butler Zhou finally arrives, arrogantly claiming that our boy has guts but won't be leaving this place alive. His future self quickly warns him that this guy is a serious master and suggests avoiding the confrontation. Ignoring the warning, he watches as the old man lunges forward with a punch wrapped in intense energy. Shen-an effortlessly catches the strike, causing a shockwave that proves he's not just some random kid. He realizes this geezer's power is actually leagues above any of the trash-tier Awakeners he's crushed recently. Zhou is stunned, his 30% effort failed, declaring that Shen-an is actually worthy of being killed. The master blurs into a streak of light, trying to use superior speed to overwhelm our boy's senses. Despite the flashy movement, Shen-an stays perfectly calm, tracking the master's trajectory with cold, calculated precision. In a sudden burst of speed, Shen-an intercepts the movement and brutally slams the butler into the floor. Watching his last hope get folded like laundry, Chen Zilan can only scowl as his plans fall apart. Zhou finds the situation interesting, realizing Shen-an is more than just some lucky brat after that slam. He suddenly rips his shirt off while laughing, leaving our boy completely dumbfounded by the old man's antics. The master begins channeling his inner energy, causing intense flames to erupt from his very skin. With his eyes glowing red, he reaches a state of pure physical perfection, ready to crush any opposition. Shen-an panics at the sight of this second form, while his future self warns him to retreat immediately. From the sidelines, Chen Zilan smirks and tells his enforcer to finally put an end to this annoyance. Zhou mocks the kid, asking if he's actually ready to handle a punch with real weight behind it. Our boy just grins back, joking that if the old man goes rock, he'll just have to play paper. The master lunges with a strike so powerful, it creates a massive shockwave upon impact with Shen-an's guard. He struggles to hold his ground, as his future self notes the master's strength has just doubled in power. Zhou refuses to back down, and launches a flying strike to end the fight, once and for all. He delivers a devastating kick that forces Shen-an to brace himself against the sheer momentum. The old man smirks, telling the kid he should have just lived a peaceful life instead of interfering. He follows up with a brutal knee strike, certain that this will finally break the boy's resolve. A massive explosion of dust and debris erupts as the floor gives way under the pressure. Chen Zilin laughs from the sidelines, ordering his master to bring him the brat's head as a trophy. Suddenly, Shenan's voice rings out from the smoke, complaining that using kicks and rock paper scissors is totally cheating. Chen Zilin is absolutely dumbfounded to see the kid still breathing after taking such a heavy beating. Our boy just brushes off the dust and invites the old man for another round without the dirty tricks. Zhou Fa roars in frustration and lunges forward, putting every ounce of his remaining strength into a punch. Shen-an catches the punch effortlessly, leaving the old master completely dumbfounded by his raw power. Our boy smirks, explaining that he is simply returning the energy he devoured from the previous strikes. Zhou Fa breaks into a cold sweat, unable to comprehend how this kid matches his peak strength. The veteran realizes with horror that his fist is stuck, as if caught in a crushing vice. Chen Zilin loses his cool, screaming at his protector to stop playing around and finish the job. Zhou Fa curses under his breath, wondering if his boss is blind to the fact he is losing. Desperate to end this, the trash tier leader pulls out a gun to take matters into his own hands. Shen-an reacts instantly, pulling the old man into the line of fire as the shots ring out. The master screams in agony as his own employer's bullets tear through his back. With his shield now useless, Shen-an tosses the broken old man aside like total trash. Chen Zilin completely loses his cool, firing his weapon wildly as his world crumbles around him. The veteran master lies broken on the floor, a victim of his own boss's panicked and messy betrayal. Backing into a corner, the trash tier leader desperately begs our boy to just leave him alone. Shen-an just gives him a chilling smile, making it clear that mercy isn't on the menu today. The coward realizes too late that his family name can't save him from this absolute monster. A final, blood-curdling scream echoes through the room as the debt for his arrogance is finally paid in full. Elsewhere, a powerful hand crushes solid stone like it's paper, signaling the arrival of a much bigger threat. The shadowy master watches the footage, noting that Shen-an has already reached the peak of the second stage. He orders his elite squad to move out immediately, refusing to let our boy's growth go unchecked any longer. The scene shifts to a flashy KTV building, where the next phase of this bloody game is about to begin. Shen-an strolls through the city at night, trying to enjoy a quiet drink after the recent carnage. Suddenly, his sharp senses pick up a familiar presence lurking in the shadows behind him. Without missing a beat, our boy tosses his drink to force the stalker out into the open. The cup splashes against the pavement right at the feet of a very familiar pair of boots. Mu Linqiu steps into the light, looking thoroughly annoyed by his aggressive welcoming committee. Shen-an snaps at her, making it clear he hasn't forgotten how she messed with him before. Instead of arguing, she decides to take a much more provocative approach to get his attention. She offers him a scandalous deal, suggesting he can have a few free hits if he just listens. Our boy is left completely dumbfounded, wondering what kind of trash tier game she is playing now. Mu Linqiu is internally fuming, hating that her organization forced her to use such a shameless tactic. Mu Linqiu reveals the Malatang stall incident was a total setup, used to test his combat potential. She warns that the Chen family is mobilizing their full power, and offers her organization's protection. Our boy isn't buying it, questioning if these shady people have ever actually done anything useful. She doubles down, insisting he's exposed, and the Chens are already plotting his permanent retirement. Seeing a potential angle, Shen-an asks exactly how this suspicious partnership is supposed to function. Mu Linqiu explains the plan is simple. They just need to bait the Chens into acting recklessly. He realizes they want to use him as a weapon, and demands some serious collateral first. Mu Linqiu is curious now, asking what kind of price he thinks his cooperation is worth. He shocks her by demanding the head of the Chen family, proving he's already seen through her. When she claims that's impossible, our boy just walks away since they have nothing left to discuss. The next morning arrives with a deceptive calm as the city prepares for the coming chaos. Our boy is already on the move, carrying a bag of hardware supplies for a little home improvement project. Standing before the KTV, he decides that if the Chens want to fight, he will give them a masterpiece. He prepares his tool of choice, knowing exactly how to get under the skin of these arrogant elites. With a hiss of paint, he marks the golden doors, signaling the beginning of his aggressive counteroffensive. The manor guards rush out in a panic, shocked that anyone would dare vandalize such a prestigious spot. They bicker over the messy handwriting, while Shen-an just waits for them to realize who they are facing. He dismissively tells the goons their decor is trash, and he is actually doing them a huge favor. Lao Lao is pushed past his breaking point, screaming for his men to kill the arrogant brat immediately. A trash tier guard lunges forward with a pipe, foolishly thinking he can actually land a hit on our boy. Shen On catches the strike effortlessly, making the guard's desperate attack look like a complete joke. The trash tier mob is left dumbfounded, searching for his missing weapon while our boy just stares him down. A security captain rushes into the scene, sensing the massive shift in power from across the manor. He frantically warns the guards that this is the monster who took down a member of the Chens. Instead of running, a guard named Wang Meng gets starstruck, realizing he's in the presence of a legend. He grabs an axe and offers to help Shen and smash the doors, completely abandoning his post. Lao Lao is pushed past his breaking point, screaming that his subordinate has officially lost his mind. Wang Meng's eyes glow with a terrifying red light as he tells his boss to back the hell off. The entrance is blown apart in a single strike, leaving the veteran security leader cowering in the debris. Shen An stands amidst the wreckage, radiating a crushing pressure that proves he's on a different level. Wang Meng salutes his new idol, eagerly asking if there is anything else the legend needs him to do. Our boy just smirks, testing the waters by asking the starstruck guard if he truly wants to become a follower. Without a second thought, the guard pledges his loyalty, ready to follow his new boss through any fire. Shen En heads to the next objective, while a traumatized Lao Lao finally decides to quit his trash tier job. Wang Meng explains he has always hated the Chen's evil deeds and was just waiting for someone strong. Even when warned about the family's vengeance, the guard assumes his boss must have some massive secret backing. Learning that his new leader is actually flying solo only makes the guard more hyped for the chaos ahead. Suddenly, a notification buzzes on his phone, pulling the young master back into the reality of his old life. It turns out a former classmate is calling to invite him to a reunion, claiming he is doing well. Shen Ain instantly hangs up, having zero interest in playing nice with people who are cut from different cloth. A notification from Zhou Wang pops up, inviting our boy to a reunion for their old university class. The voice note warns that a rich brat named Zhang Wei is running the show with massive connections. Just hearing that name makes Shen An's fist clench as he remembers the day he was betrayed. He flashes back to when Zhang Wei was cornering Lu Jing, acting like a typical trash tier bully. Back then, our boy stepped in to demand an apology, refusing to let the harassment slide. Suddenly, Zhang Wei's grandfather appeared, and the coward immediately started faking tears to frame Shen An. The ultimate betrayal came when Lu Jing looked him in the eye and lied about the whole thing. Realizing they just want to humiliate him again, our boy decides it is time for a little payback. Wang Meng mentions the hotel is Chen property, assuming his boss would want to avoid the heat. Shen An just smirks and declares the reunion is his next stop, ready to cause some serious chaos. The scene shifts to the Emperor Hotel, a flashy landmark where the city's self-proclaimed elites love to gather. Shen An tells Wang Meng to wait outside while he prepares to settle some old debts alone. Our boy enters the lavish hall, feeling the weight of the past as he spots his former classmates. Zhang Wei stops a friend from greeting him, clearly planning to turn this reunion into a public execution. A manager steps in to block the way, smugly explaining that this floor is strictly for premium members. The trash tier crowd watches and laughs, fully expecting to see Shen An get tossed out like garbage. Suddenly, the manager's ego vanishes as he bows deeply, treating our boy with the utmost respect and fear. Zhang Wei is left dumbfounded, demanding to know why a supposed nobody is being treated like a king. One icy look from Shen An sends the manager into a panic, his body trembling from pure killing intent. Refusing to accept reality, Zhang Wei sneers and accuses him of stealing a membership card to get inside. Zhang Wei is losing his mind, unable to comprehend why a manager would treat a nobody like royalty. Lu Jing steps in with a fake smile, trying to play diplomat while mocking Shen An's old temper. Our boy doesn't miss a beat, sarcastically noting that she and Zhang Wei are a perfect trash tier match. Zhang Wei pulls her close to flex his status, but Shen An just walks away, completely unimpressed. Lu Jing's composure cracks as she realizes her former target isn't the same weakling she once betrayed. Manager Zhu frantically warns his staff that this is the same monster who leveled a KTV single-handedly. Zhang Wei tries to regain control by hosting a lavish feast, acting like he owns the entire room. The classmates are paralyzed by the prices, realizing one dish costs more than their entire year's salary. Shen An snatches the menu away, tired of watching them hesitate over a few measly thousands. He casually orders double servings of the most expensive abalone, fully intending to bleed Zhang Wei dry. Zhang Wei starts sweating bullets as our boy keeps stacking the bill with lobster and caviar. Shen An plays the humble card, claiming he's just making sure they enjoy the generous treat. He stands up to leave, suggesting they hit a roadside stall if the bill is too high. Zhang Wei stops him, suggesting a friendly spar to see if Shen An still has his old skills. Lu Jing senses the tension rising and tries to remind everyone they are just here for a reunion. Zhou Wang nervously tries to play peacemaker, fearing the dinner is about to turn into a brawl. A trash-tier classmate eggs them on, convinced that Zhang Wei is just looking for a little fun. Shen An just laughs, asking if they really want to throw hands over a few expensive plates. Zhang Wei finally snaps, losing his fake composure as he prepares to show Shen An his place. He tosses his jacket aside, ready to turn this high-end restaurant into a personal boxing ring. Zhang Wei flexes his muscles, convinced his new strength is enough to finally crush our boy. He lunges forward with a heavy punch, demanding that Shen An just take the hit. Shen An watches the slow-motion strike with a bored expression, realizing his former bully is still trash tier. Before Zhang Wei can even blink, his face collides directly with Shen An's perfectly placed fist. The impact sends him reeling back in pain, clutching his nose while wondering what just hit him. Shen An plays dumb, jokingly asking why his old classmate is attacking his hand with his face. Enraged by the mockery, Zhang Wei throws another desperate strike, refusing to accept the massive power gap. Our boy doesn't even break a sweat, effortlessly letting the bully's momentum do all the hard work. Zhang Wei coughs up blood as the realization sets in that he is completely outclassed. Shen An continues the act, teasingly warning him that he won't pay for any medical bills. The classmates are left dumbfounded, wondering if the bully just showcased some pathetic new Iron Face technique. Zhang Wei hits the floor hard, clutching his bleeding nose while drowning in the embarrassment of being outclassed. Our boy decides he has had enough of this trash-tier reunion and prepares to bounce before things get annoying. Suddenly, his phone buzzes with an urgent call from Wang Meng, cutting his exit short. The former guard frantically warns him that the big boss son, Chen Ziliang, has officially crashed the party. It turns out the enforcer was brutally ambushed, leaving him bloodied next to a wrecked car as energy flares. The man of the hour finally steps into the room, radiating a terrifying aura with his eyes glowing red. Still desperate to save face, Zhang Wei demands to know who this newcomer is, completely unaware of the danger. Chen Ziliang just scoffs at the weakling, telling the brat to get lost before he loses more than blood. The bully's ego takes another massive hit, leaving him fuming as he realizes nobody in the room respects him. Chen Ziliang doesn't hesitate, delivering a brutal kick that sends Zhang Wei's lunch flying across the room. The force is so insane that the bully becomes human wallpaper, shattering the hotel's expensive masonry on impact. Zhang Wei slumps to the floor, looking like total trash as he realizes he's way out of his league. Our boy watches from the sidelines, genuinely surprised by how much this corrupt official's power has spiked recently. With eyes glowing like embers, Chen Ziliang pins all his failures and his brother's death directly on Shen An. Before Shen An can even process the threat, a hand lunges toward his face with terrifying, unnatural speed. He barely manages to tilt his head in time, feeling the wind of a strike that would have ended him. Shen An throws a desperate counter, but his fist hits nothing but air as the villain simply vanishes. Suddenly, the predator appears right behind him, wearing a smug grin that screams total and absolute dominance. A heavy blow connects, sending our boy reeling as he realizes this fight won't be a walkover. Shen An is rattled by the sudden power spike, but his future self senses some illegal performance enhancers. Chen Ziliang looks like a total demon now, declaring that the time for playing games is finally over. The corrupt official bulks up into a trash-tier monster, fueled by pure rage and chemical enhancement. Our boy wonders if these guys watch too much anime, while his guide demands a head-on confrontation. With a roar, the villain lunges forward, determined to end Shen An with one final strike. A massive fist connects with Shen An's face, but the impact doesn't feel nearly as lethal as expected. Shen An complains about the sting, but his future self points out he didn't even get a bruise. Turns out the villain's defense is absolute garbage, leaving him bleeding and dumbfounded by our boy's durability. Realizing he's the one in control, Shen An wears a smug grin as he prepares to end this. Shen An delivers a heavy blow to the villain's gut, making him regret every single life choice. He follows up with a massive kick that sends the trash-tier official flying across the room. As the villain struggles to breathe, our boy rushes in to finish the job once and for all. Desperate and pathetic, the coward reaches out and grabs a hostage to save his own skin. He holds the terrified Lu Jing by the throat, threatening to kill her if Shen An moves. Instead of panicking, Shen An coldly claims they aren't friends, and even offers to provide a weapon. The villain is completely dumbfounded by this coldness, while the girl realizes she's truly on her own. With a savage grin, our boy lunges forward to see if the villain's reflexes match his mouth. He drives a blade straight into the coward, proving that a human shield won't stop his revenge. Shen An coldly tells the girl to get lost, ordering his allies to evacuate before things get even bloodier. Zhou Wang quickly hauls an unconscious Sun Ming away, while the girl stands there completely dumbfounded by the ruthlessness. Elsewhere, a battered Chen Ziliang slumps against a wall, realizing his current power is nothing but trash tier. His eyes burn with a vengeful red light as he dwells on his defeat and his brother's demise. A family elder looms over him, demanding he step up and eliminate the man currently ruining their business. Chen Ziliang hesitates, admitting that in his current state, he is absolutely no match for Shen'an's overwhelming strength. The elder then presents a shady strength-enhancing medicine, offering the entire family empire as a reward for success. Despite the dangerous side effects, the coward reaches out, willing to do anything to claw back his pride. Now armed with a forbidden edge, Chen Ziliang prepares to hunt down our boy for one final showdown. Shen'an watches in horror as the desperate man downs the forbidden pills like they are candy. The medicine takes hold instantly, causing Chen Ziliang to writhe in agony as his body begins to mutate. Our boy is completely dumbfounded by the sight of his enemy's flesh warping into something far more monstrous. With his humanity fading, Chen Ziliang's eyes glow with a murderous red light as he focuses on his target. The mutated freak vanishes in a blur of speed, leaving Shen'an struggling to even track his movements. Even with his heightened senses, he realizes this trash-tier opponent has suddenly become a genuine threat. Before he can react, a heavy blow connects with his jaw, sending a spray of blood into the air. Gritting his teeth against the pain, Shen'an clenches his fist and prepares to reclaim the advantage. He curses his luck, knowing he has to end this before the forbidden drug pushes his enemy even further. Shen'an takes a brutal hit to the spine, coughing as the impact rattles his very core. He is sent skidding across the floor, barely able to track the blur of his drug-enhanced opponent. The mutated freak doesn't give him a second to breathe, launching him skyward with a devastating kick. Our boy realizes he can't even sense the guy's presence anymore, making his movements impossible to predict. Desperate, he calls out to his future self for guidance, but realizes he is truly on his own. Gritting his teeth, Shen'an manifests the broken star blade to finally turn the tide of battle. He stands his ground and dares the monster to come at him, his resolve hardening like steel. Channeling his void energy, he unleashes a massive burst of power to blow back the encroaching darkness. Chen Ziliang just screams in a mindless rage, completely lost to the drug's murderous instincts. Shen'an summons a golden barrier that sends the trash-tier Chen Ziliang flying back in a daze. Seeing the defense hold, our boy finally feels like he might actually survive this encounter. However, the mutated freak just roars, his muscles bulging as he ignores the pain of his injuries. Chen Ziliang puts everything into a final, drug-fueled strike, intended to crush the life out of him. Shen'an is dumbfounded as his golden shield begins to shatter like glass under the overwhelming force. The impact sends him skidding across the floor, leaving him battered and coughing up fresh blood. He realizes the level gap is insane. Just as his future self casually wakes up from a nap, our boy fumes at the lazy guide, asking how he is supposed to knock out such a monster. After some teasing, the hooded spirit warns him to destroy the cameras before the Chen family sees everything. Shen'an sprints through the corridor, methodically smashing every security camera to ensure the Chen family stays blind. Just as he finishes the task, the mutated freak looms behind him, catching our boy completely off guard. A devastating strike sends him crashing back, proving that the drug-fueled monster hasn't slowed down one bit. Deep within the manor, the surveillance feed finally cuts to black, leaving the observers staring at empty screens. The Chen elder notes the boy's injuries, but worries that Ziliang's drug-induced rage is becoming too unstable. He tasks Huanyu with the assassination, strictly telling him to avoid using their most volatile experimental powers. Standing before his elite enforcers, the patriarch gives the cold command to hunt them down and show no mercy. Back in the fray, the mindless brute pauses in confusion, sensing that his masters are no longer watching him. Wiping blood from his mouth, our boy smirks because without any witnesses, he can finally unleash his true power. Shen'an wipes the blood from his chin, warning his future self that the real party is just starting. While he prepares to hunt the hidden rat, he decides it's finally time for Viper to make his move. The drug-addled Chen Ziliang is left completely dumbfounded as a new presence suddenly enters the fray. Out of nowhere, Huanyu lunges forward with a blade, his eyes locked onto his target with lethal intent. Our boy's jaw drops when he recognizes the assassin as the same trash-tier thug who threw a knife earlier. He scans the room in a panic, wondering exactly when Mu Lingqiu managed to slip away unnoticed. As the two monsters collide, Shen'an notices the mutated freak is finally slowing down under the pressure. He realizes Viper is using poison to weaken his foe, though his future self mocks his dramatic acting. Grinning at the digital avatar, our boy asks how his performance was, only to be told he hasn't changed. High above the battlefield, a hidden observer realizes that our boy isn't just some lone wolf after all. Lao Lao panics, deciding he needs to evacuate the young master before reporting this mess to the patriarch. Suddenly, a heavy blow catches him off guard, sending his head spinning before he can even react. Dazed and confused, he scans the rooftop, wondering what kind of monster could strike him without being seen. He screams that the Shadow Organization is making a huge mistake by picking a fight with the Chen family. The invisible attacker just scoffs, claiming they aren't with those losers and that the Chens are utterly pathetic. Despair sets in as he realizes Ziliang is finished, yet he still can't fathom why these elites intervened. His mind begins to fracture under the pressure, his eyes wide with the realization that his life is over. Just then, the real Shadow Organization agents arrive on the scene, ready to turn this chaos into a bloodbath.